Chapter 32:48. You're worried about your Dao partner, aren't you? Saint Sol Daozu smiled. Don't worry. Xuanxin is a genius that the Ice Soul Holy Clan has carefully cultivated. Even the strongest of my clan is paying attention to her. What can happen to her in the Ice Soul Holy Clan? Where are ancestor Shui and Xuanxin now? You don't know yet, right? The Space God Clan is holding a genius competition. Junior sister Xing Shui brought Xuanxin and the other geniuses to the Space God Clan. Fang was startled. Space God Clan? Is that the one with the undying warrior Sengoku? Yes, Lord Sengoku is one of the 7 undying beings of the Space God Clan. Fang was shocked and stunned. What? What a coincidence. The Thunder Emperor stamp happened to be in the hands of the undying warrior Sengoku. Su Fang came to the Ice Soul Holy Region to ask the undying of the Ice Soul Holy Clan to take the Thunder Emperor stamp from Sengoku. Soon, Saint Sol Daozu brought Su Fang to the depths of the Ice Soul Holy Clan. They entered an independent space and arrived at the huge ice mountain where the strongest of the Ice Soul Holy Clan lived. Little friend Su Fang, please come up. The voice of the strongest of the Ice Soul Holy Clan came from the ice mountain. Su Fang flew to the top of the ice mountain. The strongest actually called Su Fang little friend. Saint Sol said. The moment Dao Ancestor Pa heard the utmost powerful being address Su Fang as such, he could not help but feel astounded. He looked at Su Fang's back view with a look of astonishment. Su Fang flew to the top of the ice mountain. An old man in white stood there with his hands behind his back. Su Fang sensed that the old man's energy was very vague. He seemed like an ordinary person, but he was actually one with the heavenly Tao. He was an undying being. It was the first time he was face to face with an undying being. His heart skipped a beat. He quickly cupped his fists and bowed. Greetings, strongest. The old man chuckled. Su Fang, you don't have to be so courteous. In just a few eras, you and I will address each other as equals. Why don't you stick to these empty formalities? Fang Jiang slowly explained his intentions to the old man. Qianyuan clan? Starry Sky race? The white-robed old man raised his white eyebrows and shook his head. My race had some conflicts with the Qianyuan race in the past. I can't help you with the Qianyuan race. However, I do have some friendly relations with Sengoku. Logically speaking, the Lightning Emperor seal is completely useless in his hands. If you are willing to pay a price that can move his heart, he should gladly agree. Fang was overjoyed. Wait a moment. Allow me to meet Sengoku in the Eternal Shrine and get some information from him, the old man said straightforwardly. Then, he disappeared into nothingness. Su Fang now knew that the Eternal Shrine was a power jointly established by the Immortal Realm expert. It was used to coordinate the 10,000 races. At the same time, the Eternal Shrine was also a place where the Immortal Realm experts gathered. Wait, after a while, the white-robed old man still didn't appear. Su Fang took out a leaf-shaped rune and transmitted his divine sense. Wait. After a while, the voice of the precious tree god mother came from the rune. Su Fang, did you encounter a life-or-death crisis and need my help? Although it's not a life-or-death crisis, it's not much different from one. I don't know if you can help me. Fang Jiang told the precious tree godmother about the test of the 5th level of heaven and how he wanted to get the Lightning Emperor seal from the Qianyuan race's Immortal Realm expert. Although the Heavenly Tree race isn't a big race, the pills they make are quite famous among the 10,000 races in the chaos. They have dealings with many races. I can go and see the Qianyuan race's Immortal Realm expert, but I can't guarantee success. The precious tree godmother's words made Su Fang both surprised and happy. No matter what, there was finally hope. At least the 4 gates weren't completely out of his reach. After talking with the precious tree godmother, Su Fang unexpectedly found out that Goddess Luo was also in the star race, participating in the genius competition held by the star god race. What a coincidence! I guess Xuanxin and Goddess Luo are together now. Su Fang smiled. After talking with the precious tree godmother, the supreme expert of the Ice Soul Divine race appeared again. Su Fang looked at the white-robed old man and asked, "Have you met Lord Sengoku?" "I communicated with Sengoku in the Eternal Divine Palace. He didn't refuse, but he needs me to take you to the star race for a face-to-face talk." "Why?" "I mentioned that you're extraordinary, and Sengoku is quite curious, so he wants to meet you." Su Fang thought to himself, it seems that Sengoku wants to take the opportunity to ask for benefits, but he doesn't want to ask directly. But at least there was some progress, and Su Fang felt more at ease. He cupped his fists and thanked the white-robed old man. "Thank you for your help, Lord. I will remember your kindness." The white-robed old man laughed and said while stroking his white beard, "Your Taoist partner is a disciple of the Ice Soul Divine race. Of course I will help you. And you will definitely surpass Daozu in the future and become an existence on par with me. When the Ice Soul Divine race needs your help in the future, you won't stand by and do nothing." That was the truth. Only with strength and potential could you be respected and helped by the strong. Otherwise, who would take you seriously? The white-robed old man immediately took Su Fang out of the Ice Soul Divine realm and went to the star race. Su Fang also saw the supreme strength of the immortal realm experts that existed together with the heavenly Tao. The white-robed old man took Su Fang into the Taoist palace. His body turned into a state of nothingness and merged with the heavenly Tao. Time and space could not form any shackles on him, and he instantly traveled through space. When he let Su Fang out of the Taoist palace, he was already in the vast starry sky. He had arrived at the star race. Su Fang counted with his fingers and found that only 3 days had passed. The white-robed old man released his divine mind and communicated with Sengoku. He frowned and said, "Sengoku said he is making an important Xian bao and will see you in a few days." Su Fang said, "It doesn't matter if I wait for a while. I'm going to see Xuanxin." "That's the only way. Go ahead. When Sengoku replies, I'll contact you and we'll go to see Sengoku together." The white-robed old man nodded and disappeared into nothingness. Su Fang teleported to the depths of the starry sky. After about 3 months, he arrived at a huge star. With his speed, it still took him 3 months to teleport in the starry sky. It showed how vast the spacetime where the star race lived was. This Su Fang wanted to experience the cultivation civilization of the star race, so he didn't go through the Xian Gate and wasted a lot of time on the way. Along the way, Su Fang saw the cultivation civilization of the powerful alien race. It was more than 10,000 times more powerful than the human race. There were countless stars in the starry sky occupied by the star race. Almost every star was guarded by a void Tao expert and had more than 100 billion cultivators. Su Fang sensed the aura of Tao Saint and Daozu among the stars. These experts were the top experts in the human race, but they were very common in the star race. Su Fang also encountered all kinds of powerful flying Xian Bao and countless powerful divine beasts along the way. Such a scene was rare in the human race. One day, I'll lead the human race to expand our territory in the chaos and create a cultivation civilization that belongs to the human race. Su Fang said. Fang was shocked and at the same time, he turned his gaze to the vast chaos. No matter how good the Zhaoyuan realm was, it could only be a holy place for the human race. Sooner or later, the human race would enter the chaos and integrate with other races. Only then could they become more powerful. He fixed his eyes on the huge star, which was the main star of the star race. I'm going to see Xuanxin and Goddess, Su Fang said. Fang smiled and flew toward the Xian Gate that led to the main planet. When Su Fang arrived at the star race, a banquet was being held in a palace floating in the nebula above the main star of the star race. Every 10 million years, The star race would hold the genius competition of the 100 races to provide a platform for the geniuses of different races to show their talent. Speaking, there were more than 100 races. There were more than 100 races in this competition. There were more than 3,000 geniuses from different races. Here the competition had come to an end. The experts of the star race held this banquet to entertain the geniuses from different races. Could those who were qualified to enter the palace were all the top 1,000 geniuses of the various races who had entered the genius competition. The top 1,000 geniuses were not to be underestimated. There were more than 3,000 powerful races in total. More than 10 million geniuses participated in the competition. They were all carefully selected by different races. Those who were able to participate in the battle of the geniuses were all true geniuses. Those who made it into the top 1,000 were geniuses among geniuses. In the future, who knew how many Tao saints, Tao ancestors, and even immortal realm cultivators would emerge from these seedlings? The geniuses in the palace were divided into different groups according to their backgrounds and achievements in the competition. The 3 youths sitting at the head of the table were the top 3 peerless geniuses in this competition. The silver-haired young man sitting in the middle was extraordinarily handsome. His eyes were like 2 stars, and he had a noble temperament. He was a peerless genius from the stellar race and the winner of this year's competition. How boring! The silver-haired young man put down his cup and looked bored. If I had known it would be so boring, I would have gone to the brothel. It's much more fun to drink there. At the side, a young man in a red robe shook his head and smiled. He had a square face, a rough appearance, and a black horn on his head. His entire body emitted a supreme domineering aura. It's easy to have beauties around. As long as Mr. Xing Sha and Mr. Mo Xian look at each other, all the beauties in the palace will throw themselves at them. It's just a game. When the competition is over, we'll go back to our own races. The other elegant young man smiled. He glanced around the palace and his gaze fell on a table of beauties in the corner. Look! He saw a woman in a snow-white robe and a woman in green. The young man's eyes lit up. I didn't expect there to be such beautiful and elegant women. The silver-haired young man and the black-horned young man looked over. The silver-haired young man smiled and nodded. The woman in white is mine. The horned youth grinned. This seat likes the younger ones the most. This seat wants that little girl in green clothes. It seems I have to find another target. Chapter 3249. The woman in the snow-white robe was Xuanxin, and the girl in green was Goddess Luo. They were sent by the Ice Soul Sacred Tribe and the Heavenly Tree Race to participate in the Galaxy Race's Genius Competition. They showed extraordinary talent and strength, and made it into the top 1,000. Therefore, they were qualified to sit in the palace, but they didn't expect to be watched. Ladies! Then, the elegant young man came to the table and spoke to Xuanxin and Goddess Luo gently. I'm Qin Yang. Young Master Xing Sha and young Master Mo Xian invite you to drink with them. Please. The elegant young man said with a smile. He looked very polite, but there was a domineering aura that Xuanxin and Goddess Luo couldn't resist. Young Master Qin Yang? It's young Master Qin Yang. Young Master Xing Sha and young Master Mo Xian invited them personally. These 2 women have encountered great fortune. The female cultivators from different races at the table looked at Xian Xin and Goddess Luo with jealousy. The geniuses around them were also discussing this. Xing Sha, Mo Xian, and Qin Yang were the top 3 in this 100-race genius competition. They were all from powerful races, so which female cultivator didn't admire them? Xuanxin frowned and said, Sorry, little sister goddess and I don't drink. Qin Yang smiled embarrassedly. We're just inviting you over to have a seat and make friends with young Master Xing Sha and young Master Mo Xian. Why do you have to reject us? You actually rejected the 3 young masters. You really don't know how to appreciate favors? A female monk from the starry sky race, sitting at the table, snorted. Goddess Luo transmitted her voice to Xuanxin. Sister Xuanxin, if we offend these three, we'll bring a lot of trouble to the Ice Soul Sacred Tribe and the Heavenly Tree Race. There's no harm in going over and getting to know them. Fine. Xian nodded in agreement. She wasn't a flower vase. She had weathered countless storms in the Pongtsong universe, so she could handle this kind of situation. Come. To the first seat. Xian Xian and Goddess Luo proposed a toast to the three geniuses. When it was Goddess Luo's turn to propose a toast to Emo Xian suddenly said, "The wine of the stellar race is tasteless. Since you are here to liven things up, how can you not have good wine? Why don't you try the fine wine of the Waymo race?" After saying that, he took out a jade bottle and poured out 2 large cups of wine. That the wine was as red as blood and emitted an alluring scent. Just a whiff of it made one feel as if they were floating in the air. Immediately after, a flame of lust began to stir in the depths of their bodies. The silver-haired youth, Xing Sha, raised his eyebrows and smiled awkwardly. He did not say anything. On the other hand, a hint of lust flashed in the eyes of the refined youth named Qin Yang. Lothi Heavenly Maiden looked like she was only 15 years old, but she had lived 2 lives. How could she not see that there was something wrong with the wine? Only he did not expect that young Master Mo Xian would be so unscrupulous to do such a shameless thing at the banquet. Goddess Luo snorted and said coldly, "You should drink this wine alone." Qin Yang smiled and said, "Miss Heavenly Maiden, how can you refuse young Master Mo Xian's wine?" Xing Sha also said, "It's just a cup of wine. If you refuse, you're not giving young Master Mo Xian face." Xuanxin was about to refuse when he was suddenly stunned. His eyes flashed with surprise and he said to Goddess Luo, "Goddess, let's go. He's coming to the starry sky race." Him? Goddess Luo was stunned for a moment, but she immediately understood. Her eyes suddenly became very hearty. The 2 of them immediately turned around and left the palace without looking back. Everyone under the gaze of the public, the 3 young masters were ignored by Xuanxin and Goddess Luo. They felt embarrassed. Everyone, the atmosphere in the palace suddenly became tense. No one dared to laugh or drink loudly anymore. Mo Xian said gloomily, "Go and call those 2 girls back. They have to drink my wine even if they don't want to." Immediately, a Xiema cultivator left the palace to chase after Xuanxin and Goddess Luo. In less than half an hour, the Xiema cultivator returned and said, "Mr. Mo Xian, those 2 women, they are actually at a roadside stall in the city with a human man. They seem to be very intimate with each other. I asked them to come back and accompany you, but that human man spoke rudely." The hall instantly fell silent. Mo Xian asked in surprise, "Human? What kind of powerful race is the human race?" Someone in the palace replied, "What kind of powerful race is the human race? It's just the lowest race. Although the 2 girls are from the Ice Soul Divine Tribe and the Heavenly Tree Race, they are also humans. How dare an ant-like human be so arrogant in the Starry Sky Race?" Mo Xian sneered and left the palace. "This is much more interesting than the banquet." Xing Sha smiled and followed Mo Xian. Seeing that there was something interesting to watch, many geniuses from different races in the palace followed them. In the Starry Sky Race's imperial city, the buildings floating in the air formed a long street. There was an endless stream of horses and carriages, and it was a scene of prosperity. At a stall outside a tavern, Su Fang, Xuanxin, and Goddess Luo were drinking wine and chatting happily. This scene attracted the attention of all the cultivators passing by. Who is that cultivator? How can he be accompanied by 2 beautiful girls? Sigh, in today's world, all the good vegetables are eaten by pigs. And he got 2 good vegetables at once. It's so infuriating. Everyone was talking about it. Su Fang deliberately suppressed his cultivation, which was lower than Xuanxin and Goddess Luo. He was only a low-level Dao Lord. Thus, with this cultivation level, He was already considered an expert in the human race. However, in the starry sky race, he was at most an expert, and an ordinary one at that. An ordinary Dowlord had 2 beautiful girls in his arms. How could he not be jealous? Whoosh! Emo Xian flew over and landed in front of the stall. Seeing Su Fang being so intimate with Xuanxin and Goddess Luo, Emo Xian's eyes burned with anger. Then he shouted at Xuanxin and Goddess Luo, "You 2 bitches who refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit." Su Fang raised his eyebrows. No. Before he could speak, Xing Sha, Qin Yang, and the other geniuses arrived one after another. The stall was immediately surrounded. Xuanxin and Goddess Luo became nervous. Although they knew Su Fang's strength was extraordinary, they didn't know Su Fang's true strength. Moreover, they were in the starry sky race. Xian Shi took out a rune talisman, and was about to ask Ancestor Shui for help when Su Fang's voice sounded in her mind. "I'm here. Don't be afraid." Seeing how calm Su Fang was, Xian Xin and Goddess Luo felt as if they had eaten a calming pill. Their hearts instantly calmed down. Qin Yang looked at Su Fang and sneered disdainfully. "Human ant, you'd better destroy your own cultivation now. Otherwise, you won't be able to leave the starry sky race alive." Su Fang raised his glass and said to Xuanxin and Goddess Luo, "The wine here is good. Drink up." Then he drank up the wine in his glass. Qin Yang's words and the geniuses around him were ignored by him. At Su Fang's current strength was unrivaled by anyone below the immortal realm. These Dowlords were no different from ants in his eyes. He could indeed ignore them. Su Fang came to the starry sky race this time because he needed help from the immortal realm experts of the starry sky race. He didn't want to cause any trouble. However, Xuanxin and Goddess Luo were bullied. How could Su Fang just stand by and watch? Under everyone's gaze, Qin Yang was ignored by Su Fang. His elegant face immediately revealed a furious expression as he shouted, "Ant, this lord is talking to you? Are you deaf?" Su Fang shouted. Fang put down his glass and glanced at Qin Yang. He said indifferently, "If you destroy your own cultivation now, I can spare your life." Yang couldn't help laughing. The geniuses around all burst into laughter. Emo Xian laughed wildly. "Ant, I'll destroy your cultivation first. Then I'll make these 2 bitches serve me in front of you." Before he finished his words, Emo Xian burst out an evil and overbearing willpower. It crushed toward Su Fang's Taoist palace. Su Fang snorted. A killing willpower came out and crushed Emo Xian's Taoist heart. His consciousness was also wiped out. Emo Xian became an idiot and fell to the ground with a plop. There was a deathly silence in the surroundings. "So you're a powerful expert. Humph, the starry sky race isn't a place where you can be so arrogant. You destroyed Lord Emo Xian. Even if you're a Tao saint, you can't escape death." Qin Yang snorted and stepped back. Su Fang said indifferently, "I just said that if you destroy your own Taoist palace, I'll spare your life." "Arrogant!" Qin Yang shouted. Yang sneered disdainfully. A melodious sound came out from his body. He turned into nothingness and was about to disappear in front of Su Fang. Su Fang moved his mind. Qin Yang, who was about to escape, was grabbed by Su Fang. He fell to the ground and let out a shrill cry. Su Fang had broken Qin Yang's escape method with a single thought and even crippled his Dao Palace. Face geniuses were all weak chickens and ants in front of the anger of a powerful expert. Everyone, many of the geniuses were shocked once again. They all trembled and retreated. Xingsha was proud of his status and was not afraid. He shouted at Su Fang, "Human cultivator, do you know what kind of trouble you've caused? You were the one who forced my cultivation partner to drink with you, weren't you? Kneel down." Su Fang released his willpower and it fell on Xingsha. "You're not a Tao saint. You're a Daozu." Sha's willpower collapsed. He had to kneel down before Su Fang. He looked at Su Fang with respect. "Daozu, how dare you bully a junior like this? The starry sky race will not tolerate you. A cold voice came. Then a dozen cultivators flew over. There were cultivators from the starry sky race, and also from Emo Xian and Qin Yang's races. They were all powerful figures on par with Daozu. The leader was a powerful Daozu from the starry sky race. However, he was not at the peak of Daozu's power. Bully a junior? Su Fang sneered. My cultivation partner was bullied by them. Where were you? I was rudely offended by these juniors, and they even tried in vain to cripple me. Where are you? Chapter 3250. My lords, please wait. Ancestor Snow and a Daozu expert from the Celestial Tree race teleported over and tried to stop them. Humph, I won't kill you for the sake of the Ice Soul Divine Tribe and the Celestial Tree race. Kneel down and admit your mistake, then destroy your own cultivation. The Daozu of the Daomo race shouted coldly. Qin Yang is a peerless genius that our clan has carefully nurtured. He's a future Dao ancestor. How can we just let it go when this human crippled his cultivation? I'm going to rip out his tendons and skin him alive. An elegant middle-aged man said coldly. He was even more overbearing than the Daozu of the Daomo race. This human expert is doomed. He's too arrogant. He thinks he's strong enough to be so arrogant in front of the stellar race. He even dared to destroy the peerless geniuses of the Tianqin race and the Daomo race. He's courting death. So what if he's a Daozu? A low-level Daozu is just like an ant in the stellar race. The surrounding cultivators discussed animatedly as they mocked and ridiculed Su Fang. Xing Sha, who was still kneeling on the ground, stood up and smiled proudly. The fear and fear he had just felt were all gone. One wants me to destroy my own cultivation, and the other wants to rip out my tendons and skin me alive. How overbearing! But do you have the right to be so arrogant in front of me? Su Fang smiled arrogantly. The loftiness of a peerless expert was on full display in the next moment. Boom! The cultivation of the Daozu expert suddenly burst out. His will and the heavenly law landed on the Daozu of the Daomo race and the elegant middle-aged man. Under Su Fang's coercion, the two powerful Tao ancestors became as weak as chickens at this moment. After trembling for a while, their willpower collapsed, and their Taoist hearts trembled. They could not hold on any longer after 3 breaths, and then they knelt on the ground at the same time. The Daozu warriors from the Starry tribe, the Tianqin tribe, and the Xiema tribe looked at Su Fang. Suddenly their expressions changed. The arrogance in their eyes was replaced by shock and awe. They sensed the aura of immortality from Su Fang's will. This meant that Su Fang was no ordinary Daozu. His Dao heart and cultivation had reached the pinnacle of the Daozu, and he possessed the supreme strength to crush the Daozu. The mocking laughter of the surrounding foreign race cultivators came to an abrupt halt, and the mocking expressions on their faces instantly turned into shock and awe. The Snow ancestor and Daozu of the Celestial Tree race were also shocked. They also knew that Su Fang's strength was astonishing, but they never thought that Su Fang's strength would be so shocking. Plop Xing Sha, who had just regained some of his courage, knelt on the ground again. Su Fang looked at Daozu of the Xiema tribe and the scholarly middle-aged man, and said indifferently, "The dignity of the strong is not to be offended. I have always been the kind of person who punches me twice. One of you wants to destroy my cultivation, and the other wants to pull out my tendons and skin me alive. Should I pay you back double? Sir, please forgive us." The wills of the Xiema tribe and the scholarly middle-aged man had already collapsed. At this moment, they were only filled with respect for Su Fang. They no longer had the dignity of a Daozu warrior. Su Fang said indifferently, "Those 2 juniors humiliated my Dao companion, so is it wrong for me to cripple them?" "Sir, you are not wrong. They have offended you, sir. They deserve it." Daozu of the Xiema tribe and the scholarly middle-aged man said in trembling voices. The so-called reasoning was just the powerless moaning of the weak. In the face of absolute strength, strength was the only reason. Whether it was in the mortal world, the human world, or among the myriad of races in the chaos, this was the unchanging truth. I am not an unforgiving person. I will not kill those two juniors. I will not pursue the matter of you offending me. If you do not know when to stop, The number of Daozu warriors who have died in my hands, including the peak Daozu, is at least 50, if not 100. As soon as Su Fang's indifferent voice fell, a strong murderous aura spread out. All the cultivators were trembling. They felt as if they had fallen into an ice cave and would die in the next moment. Su Fang withdrew his aura. Daozu of the Xiema tribe and the scholarly middle-aged man hurriedly led Mo Xian, Qin Yang, and the other members of the Xiema tribe away. Su Fang glanced at Xing Sha. The latter could not help but tremble. Daozu of the Starry Sky tribe hurriedly cupped his fist. Lord, please be merciful and forgive Xing Sha this time. Junior, even if you have some talent, you better not be too arrogant. One day, you will meet someone you can't afford to offend. This time, I will teach you a lesson. Go. Su Fang waved his sleeves. A divine aura enveloped Xing Sha and swept him into the air. Xing Sha stabilized himself. He spat out a mouthful of blood. It was obvious that he was severely injured. However, he gritted his teeth and cupped his fists at Su Fang. Lord, thank you for sparing my life. Daozu of the Starry Sky tribe also cupped his fists at Su Fang. Then, he left with the other powerful cultivators. Many cultivators of the Xiema tribe looked at Su Fang in awe. Then, they looked at Xuanxin and Goddess Luo. At this moment, no one said that the good stuff had been eaten by the pigs. Instead, they were envious of Xuanxin and Goddess Luo. They were just two Daolords. How could they become the Daolords of such peerless cultivators? As for Xuanxin and Goddess Luo, they had turned into two ice sculptures. They felt like they were in a dream. They arrived at the cave abode rented by the Ice Soul Holy Tribe in the Starry Sky Tribe. After chatting with the Snow Ancestor and Daozu of the Heavenly Tree Tribe, Su Fang settled down in one of the palaces in the cave abode. Su Fang told his two Daolords about what had happened in the past few years. Although he described it casually, Xuanxin and Goddess Luo knew how shocking Su Fang's experience was. During this time, he had spent a lot of time with Xuanxin and Goddess Luo. Xuanxin had completely given up on chasing after Su Fang. Su Fang was not far from the peak of the Great Tao. How could he chase after him? It was better to be Su Fang's Daolord partner. It was enough to be with him for a lifetime. In less than 100 years, the strongest cultivator of the Ice Soul tribe sent a thought to Su Fang. Su Fang, Sengoku has come out of seclusion. He has agreed to see you. Su Fang had thought that he would have to wait for many years. He did not expect Sengoku to come out so soon. He was both surprised and overjoyed. He left the cave abode and came to the sky above the main planet of the Starry Sky tribe. After waiting for a while, the white-robed elder flashed out of nothingness. He took Su Fang away from the main planet and into the depths of the vast starry sky. In the depths of the Milky Way, Su Fang saw a clone of Sengoku's thought. Qian Chenzi looked to be in his early 20s. Although it was only a thought incarnation, it gave Su Fang a feeling as if he was facing the vast and boundless starry sky, and he couldn't help but feel tiny and lowly. Greetings, Senior Sengoku. Su Fang bowed respectfully. It was not because he had a favor to ask, but because it was the proper etiquette for an immortal cultivator. It was also a form of respect for the heavenly Tao. Sengoku's deep gaze swept over Su Fang. 2 stars seemed to light up in his eyes. He clicked his tongue and sighed. You are indeed extraordinary. Very extraordinary. You have achieved so much in such a short time of cultivation. You have even reached the Tao immortal realm. If you do not die prematurely, you will definitely become a powerful immortal cultivator in the future. Die prematurely? There seemed to be a hidden meaning in Sengoku's words. Su Fang's heart skipped a beat. He had a bad premonition. The white-clothed old man also frowned and snorted. Qianquanzi, there is no need for you to take advantage of your seniority. That lightning emperor seal is useless to you. Why don't you just be straightforward and hand it over? The thunder emperor seal is useless to me, but it is very useful to this human junior. Ha ha! Sengoku smiled embarrassedly. Then he gazed at Su Fang. You are extraordinary, but you are from a lowly race like the human race. How dare you be so arrogant and bully our juniors in the Starry Sky race? Unexpectedly, Qianquanzi actually began to denounce him. For an immortal cultivator like Sengoku, a Tao master cultivator like Xing Sha, even a peerless genius was like a speck of dust. They did not care about him at all. At this moment, he was denouncing Su Fang because of a junior like Xing Sha. It was unavoidable that he was narrow-minded and did not have the demeanor of an immortal cultivator. Su Fang said neither humbly nor overbearingly, I had no choice but to do it. Please forgive me, senior. If it happened again, Su Fang would not hesitate to take action. There was nothing to regret. Besides, Su Fang did not kill anyone. He had already restrained himself for the sake of the Starry Sky race. The old man in white said in a low voice, Sengoku, what do you want? Just tell me. Sengoku smiled faintly. You want my Thunder Emperor seal? It is not impossible. But you have to exchange it with your 2 Taoist companions. The Thunder Emperor seal is so important to you. You won't refuse, will you? The old man in white snorted. Exchange it with your Taoist companions? Sengoku, how dare you say that? You are bullying the weak. How can Su Fang exchange his Taoist companions with others? Sengoku said indifferently, the Starry Sky race cares about their reputation. We have lost our reputation this time. Of course, we will get it back from him. Exchange his Taoist companions for the Thunder Emperor seal? For a powerful cultivator, Taoist companions were like clothes. They could be changed at any time and exchanged for benefits. However, for Su Fang, Xuanxin and Goddess Luo were equivalent to his life. He would not exchange them even if he had the heavenly treasure of Hongmeng or the chance to become immortal. Sengoku was obviously humiliating Su Fang on purpose. Su Fang began to get angry. He said decisively, the Thunder Emperor seal is indeed very important to me. It is even related to my life and death. However, it is impossible for me to exchange it with my Taoist companions. Senior Sengoku, if you want to humiliate me, why do you have to use this method? Sengoku said, well, since you don't want to give up your women, I can't give you the Thunder Emperor seal so easily for the sake of the Starry Sky race's reputation. However, for the sake of our old friend, I will give you another chance. If you can pass the Starry Sky path of 10,000 arts, I will give you the Thunder Emperor seal. Starry Sky path of 10,000 arts? The old man in white's expression changed instantly. Chapter 3251. Starry Sky path of 10,000 arts? Su Fang didn't know much about the Starry Sky race, so he naturally didn't know about the Starry Sky path of 10,000 arts. However, judging from the white-robed old man's expression and words, the so-called Starry Sky path of 10,000 arts was not only difficult, but also very dangerous. Sengoku snorted indifferently. If you want to get the Thunder Emperor seal, you have to complete the Starry Sky path of 10,000 arts. Otherwise, don't even think about it. Forefather Ice Soul, don't blame me for not respecting our friendship. Please leave, I won't see you out. Then he waved his sleeve and directly ordered his guests to leave. Sengoku, it seems that our friendship ends here. Su Fang, let's go. The white-robed old man was furious. He used a divine power to wrap Su Fang up and left the depths of the galaxy. Originally, given my relationship with Ice Soul and that human cultivator's future achievements, I didn't mind giving him the Thunder Emperor seal. However, the Tensei people also asked me for the Thunder Emperor seal. I didn't want to offend the Tensei people, so I had to put our relationship aside. Sengoku sighed helplessly. Then he waved his hand and a divine light flashed out of nothingness. It quickly transformed into the lifelike shadow of the seventh forefather of the Tensei people. Sengoku, did you refuse Forefather Ice Soul? Asked the seventh forefather of the Tensei people. I asked that human Su Fong to complete the Starry Sky Path of 10,000 arts, which is equivalent to refusing him in disguise. I think he will retreat in the face of difficulties. In this way I have left some face for Forefather Ice Soul. Starry Sky Path of 10,000 arts? Is it the secret realm that your Starry Sky race created to imitate the eternal heavenly road? I heard that under the immortal realm, no cultivator has ever been able to complete the entire Starry Sky Path of 10,000 arts. It's extremely dangerous. Countless cultivators of various races have died on the Starry Sky Path of 10,000 arts. Bones are everywhere. Sengoku showed a complacent look. Yes, it's the Starry Sky Path of 10,000 arts. Why go through so much trouble? Why not just refuse Forefather Ice Soul and let Su Fong give up? I owe Patriarch Ice Soul a huge favor in the past, so I can't just turn him down. Moreover, the Starry Sky Path of 10,000 arts is incomparably dangerous. If that human cultivator were to die on the Starry Sky Path of 10,000 arts, wouldn't it be as you wished? That's true. Looks like I'll have to wait for some time. We can't wait for long. Maybe Patriarch Ice Soul has already left the Starry Sky tribe with that human cultivator, knowing that there is no hope. Senior, what kind of place is the Starry Sky 10,000 arts path? Su Fong couldn't wait to ask after returning to the main planet of the Starry Sky race. The white-robed old man replied, "Even if you didn't ask, I would still tell you. Do you know about the Eternal Heavens Road?" Su Fong shook his head and said, "I have never heard of it. The Eternal Heavenly Road is a path from the real world to the Eternal Shrine. This was also the result of the Eternal Shrine's creation. Many Immortal Realm experts agreed to create this path to the Eternal Shrine in order to give hope to those lowly cultivators. As long as you complete the Eternal Heavenly Road and reach the Eternal Shrine in the Heavenly Tao, you will be able to enjoy the same status and power as other Immortal Realm experts even if you don't reach the Immortal Realm. Moreover, the Eternal Heavenly Road is also a platform for ordinary cultivators to perform. If you perform well on the Eternal Heavenly Road and are valued by the Immortal Realm experts, you will soar to the sky." The white-robed old man explained slowly, and Su Fong finally understood what the Eternal Heavenly Road was. Following which, the white-robed old man smiled bitterly. Perhaps the Immortal Realm experts have overestimated the cultivators of the Primal Chaos 10,000 races, or perhaps the difficulty of the Eternal Heavens Road is too great. Since ancient times, although countless experts have risen from the Eternal Heavens Road, no one has ever walked it to the end. Su Fong finally understood that the so-called Eternal Heavenly Road was a place where Immortal Realm experts selected cultivators with potential, but it was impossible to pass it. Su Fong continued to ask, "What is the relationship between the Starry Sky Road of 10,000 arts and the Eternal Heavenly Road?" The Starry Sky Road of 10,000 arts is a secret territory opened by the Immortal Realm experts of the Starry Sky race. It is very similar to the Eternal Heavenly Road. Although it is not as good as the Eternal Heavenly Road, it is several times more dangerous than the Eternal Heavenly Road. Ever since it was opened, the corpses of cultivators from various races who have died on the Starry Sky Road of 10,000 arts can be piled up in a mysterious world. The white-robed old man's words made Su Fong's heart sink. Sengoku had put forward such conditions to deliberately make things difficult for Su Fong, and even wanted him to die on the Starry Sky Road of 10,000 arts. Just like the Eternal Heavenly Road, no one has ever completed the Starry Sky Road of 10,000 arts. Of course, the Starry Sky Road of 10,000 arts is not as good as the Eternal Heavenly Road. Cultivators below the Immortal Realm may have a glimmer of hope to complete it, but the chances are very slim. Su Fong, it's not that I don't want to help you, but I didn't expect Sengoku to be so ruthless. Forget it, you should completely give up on the idea of completing the starry sky road of 10,000 arts and think of another way. Senior, you have done your best. Su Fang will definitely remember this favor. Su Fang saluted the white-robed old man and then said, Sir, please return to the Ice Soul Sanctuary. I will stay in the starry sky race for a few more days. Maybe I can find a way. I think you still haven't given up, have you? I have said what I need to say. Whether you want to complete the starry sky road of 10,000 arts or not, it's up to you. The white-robed old man knew that it was impossible to change Su Fang's mind. He shook his head and sighed, and his figure disappeared into nothingness. Su Fang returned to the main star to collect information about the starry sky road of 10,000 arts. Just as the white-robed old man said, the starry sky road of 10,000 arts was not only difficult, but also extremely dangerous. In the starry sky road of 10,000 arts, according to the arrangement of the stars, it evolved into 10,000 laws. Cultivators had to withstand all kinds of powerful attacks and travel through 365 stars. Since the establishment of the starry sky road of 10,000 arts, no one had ever reached the end. Countless cultivators had fallen along the way, including many peerless figures. However, there were also many cultivators who performed well in the starry sky road of 10,000 arts and were valued by the higher-ups of the starry sky race. They were recruited by the starry sky race. In the competition between the geniuses of the 100 races that had already ended, the finals were held in the starry sky road of 10,000 arts. However, it was in the lowest levels of the starry sky. If I can't get the Thunder Emperor seal, not only will I be obliterated by the Thunder Lake original realm, but the entire human race will also be destroyed. No matter how difficult it is, I have to get the Thunder Emperor seal. I have to go through the starry sky road of 10,000 arts no matter what. Su Fang had no other choice but to go through the starry sky road of 10,000 arts. Moreover, he was very confident in his own strength. What others could not do, he might be able to do. After informing Xuanxin and Goddess Luo, Su Fang went into seclusion in his cave residence. Xuanxin and Goddess Luo were very worried when they knew that Su Fang wanted to go through the starry sky road of 10,000 arts. However, they knew what Su Fang was carrying on his shoulders, so they did not stop Su Fang. About 100 years later, Su Fang left the cave residence. Xuanxin, Goddess Luo, Ancestor Snow, and Daozu of the Celestial Tree race were already waiting outside the cave residence. Su Fang, take care. Xuanxin and Goddess Luo looked very relaxed, but their eyes were filled with nervousness. Xuanxin, Goddess, stay here and watch how I go through the starry sky road of 10,000 arts. Su Fang smiled domineeringly, and then went straight to where the authority of the starry sky race was concentrated. He came to a floating mountain surrounded by nebulas. Su Fang was blocked by a powerful boundary. Daozu of the starry sky race flew out and sensed Su Fang's aura. His eyes changed slightly and he said, Foreign race cultivator, this is the starry sky sacred ground. Unless you want to go through the starry sky road of 10,000 arts, no one is allowed to come close. Su Fang said indifferently, I am here to challenge the starry sky road of 10,000 arts on the orders of Lord Sengoku. Ancestor Qianqian asked you to challenge the starry sky road of 10,000 arts? The strong warrior of the starry sky race guarding the starry sky peak was not surprised. He looked at Su Fang carefully and then opened the boundary passage to let Su Fang enter the peak of the mountain. There was another world at the peak of the mountain. It was a vast array made up of 365 huge altars. The arrangement of the altars seemed simple, but in fact it contained infinite changes. Even with Su Fang's cultivation and knowledge of arrays, he could only see the surface. It was hard for him to see the mystery of the array. After Su Fang entered the array, he sat down in the center of the array under the guidance of the strong warrior of the starry sky race. Foreign race cultivator, The starry sky road of 10,000 arts is about to open. Once you step in, you will die. Be careful, Dao Zhu of the starry sky race said to Su Fang. Su Fang nodded and said, I know. Let's begin. Boom, boom, boom. Dazzling starlight burst out from the 365 altars at the same time. The starlight crisscrossed and twisted the void. A vast starry sky appeared above Su Fang's head. The unusual movement above the starry sky peak attracted the attention of countless cultivators of the starry sky race and other races. Someone is entering the starry sky road of 10,000 arts. The starry sky road of 10,000 arts opened once during the genius competition. It shouldn't open again in a short time. Why is someone entering the starry sky road of 10,000 arts again? Look, the starry sky road of 10,000 arts is fully open this time. It's not like the genius competition when only the bottom level was opened. Who has the courage to enter the starry sky road of 10,000 arts? Here comes another one who wants to die. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Countless cultivators flew toward the starry sky peak. There were also many cultivators looking up at the empty starry sky. Xuanxin, Goddess Luo, and Ancestor Xue were also staring at the starry sky road of 10,000 arts. Goddess Luo asked nervously, Sister Xuanxin, do you think Su Fang can do it this time? Don't worry. It seems like there's nothing Su Fang can't do. How many miracles has he created since you met him in the Pan Tsang universe? But no one has ever reached the end of the starry sky road of 10,000 arts. Those who failed had a slim chance of surviving. Goddess Luo's words made Xuanxin nervous. Ancestor Xue sighed and said, Su Fang actually dares to enter the starry sky road of 10,000 arts. Even I am not as courageous as him. No wonder he has such heaven-defying achievements. The Daozu expert from the heavenly tree race said embarrassedly, I hope he's not overestimating himself. Under everyone's gaze, Su Fang flew into the sky and entered the starry sky. The moment he stepped into the starry sky. Chapter 32:52. Boom, boom, boom. Countless stars rapidly appeared in the originally empty starry sky. Numerous huge stars floated around the starlight avenue, making Su Fang seem as tiny as an ant. Bang, bang, bang. Every star was emitting the sound of the heavenly Tao like a beating heart. They rumbled and attacked Su Fang's Tao heart and will. With Su Fang's current strength, even an immortal realm expert would find it difficult to shake his will. Moreover, this was only the lowest level of the path of 10,000 arts. Those star waves that could shake a Daolord's will were like the buzzing of a mosquito to him. They couldn't affect him at all. It was difficult to fly on the Starlight Avenue. One could only walk and couldn't leave the Starlight Avenue. Otherwise, one would be shackled and suppressed. Su Fang walked calmly on the Starlight Avenue. He seemed slow, but he was actually extremely fast. He was even faster than a Daolord's flying speed. Boom, boom, boom. The stars in the starry sky suddenly started to shift. They arranged themselves into a huge scorpion constellation that was 10,000 miles long. It was like a lifelike giant scorpion that attacked Su Fang. Chi. The scorpion tail rose and shot out a fierce and ferocious starlight that stabbed towards Su Fang. Your attack isn't bad, but it's a pity that you're only at the Daolord's level. How can you do anything to me, Su Fang? Su Fang smiled indifferently. He didn't stop at all. He waved his hand and pointed at the approaching giant scorpion constellation. Boom! The giant scorpion constellation shattered and turned into starlight that shot out in all directions. Su Fangda walked forward. In less than 20 breaths of time, he had passed through this part of the starry sky. Following the Starlight Avenue, Su Fang stepped into the second part of the starry sky. Chi. The stars moved. Countless stars arranged themselves into a huge hunter constellation that was 10,000 feet long. An arrow of starlight was shot out from the bow, and it shot towards Su Fang with an aura that could tear apart the starry sky. Su Fang smiled embarrassedly. He looked at the arrow, and a red light flashed in his eyes. Pooh! The arrow of starlight shattered. The hunter constellation also collapsed under Su Fang's will. Just like that, Su Fang walked quickly without any obstruction, sweeping everything in his path. Countless practitioners on the main planet of the stellar race had witnessed Su Fang's journey in the path of 1,000 arts. The geniuses who had participated in the genius competition of the 100 clans held by the stellar race were all shocked to see Su Fang passing through the stars so easily. They finally realized the gap between them and the peerless Daozu. Outside the star peak, hundreds of strong warriors of the stellar race were standing in the air, gazing at Su Fang on the path of 10,000 arts. They were all powerful warriors of the stellar race, including many Daozu and some peerless geniuses who had been carefully trained by the stellar race. An old man from the starry sky race whose face was covered with star patterns said, "Look carefully. Don't underestimate that human cultivator. Even Ancestor Qianchen is full of praise for him. This time, he is going to the starry sky path of 1,000 arts. It is a rare opportunity for him to cultivate." A middle-aged Daozu in a robe sneered, "What's so interesting about a lowly race like the human race? This seat dares to bet that this person absolutely cannot pass through the 330th checkpoint. There were 365 levels in the path of 10,000 art. Anyone who could pass the 300th level was already a powerful Daozu." The middle-aged man in a robe thought that Su Fang couldn't pass the 330th level. He didn't look down on Su Fang. On the contrary, he overestimated Su Fang. Most of the strong warriors of the stellar race looked disdainful. The middle-aged man in a robe looked at Xing Sha and snorted, "You are a Daozu, while that human cultivator is a powerful Daozu. Why are you discouraged about being defeated by him? In time, your future achievements will definitely surpass this person." "Yes, great ancestor," Xing Sha bowed and said. His dispirited spirit was refreshed. In the void, Sengoku, the seventh ancestor of the Tensei people, and ancestor Ice Soul of the Ice Soul Holy Clan were also paying attention to Su Fang. "Sengoku, how far do you think that human cultivator can go?" "At least 360 levels." "You think so highly of him? To pass the path of 10,000 arts, he needs to be at least at the 9th level of Daozu limit. This human cultivator is at most at the 8th level. It will be difficult for him to reach the 360th level." Sengoku and the seventh ancestor of the Tensei people were secretly communicating. Neither of them thought highly of Su Fang, especially the latter. The so-called Daozu limit referred to the ultimate power that Daozu could exert. Although they were both at the peak of Daozu, the power they could exert was different. Generally speaking, the number of Daozu source gates that appeared when one was promoted to Daozu was the limit of the Daozu. Su Fang was able to exert the power of a Tao ancestor above the 8th level, and he was born in the human race, which was a low-level creature. It was a shocking thing, and it was extremely rare among the higher races. However, no matter how strong he was, it would be difficult for him to complete the path of 10,000 arts. The strongest of the Ice Soul Holy Clan knew that Su Fang would not give up easily, so he did not leave the Starry Sky race. He was also paying attention to Su Fang. Like Sengoku and the seventh ancestor of the Tensei people, he did not think that Su Fang could complete the path of 10,000 arts. On the path of 10,000 arts, Su Fang was unstoppable. He broke through layers of stars and shattered powerful attacks one after another. About 3 days later, Su Fang arrived at the 300th level of the Starry Sky. The attacks he encountered had reached the level of Daozu, so he started to feel some pressure. It was just a little bit of pressure. With Su Fang's current power, few warriors below the immortal realm could be his match. Daozu's powerful attacks could not stop him at all. Soon, he reached the 330th level of the Starry Sky race. On the main star of the Starry Sky race, many cultivators were shocked and exclaimed for Su Fang. Daozu warriors of the Starry Sky race around the Starry Sky peak looked serious. The sarcasm they had before was gone. Daozu snorted and sneered. No wonder he dares to be so arrogant in the Starry Sky race. He does have some skills. However, the 350th level is his limit. Even I had to stop at the 350th level, let alone this human cultivator. Xing Sha said, "Great-grandfather, that human cultivator is extraordinary." "Maybe," the middle-aged man scolded. "Maybe what? Do you think I'm wrong? Humph, if he can surpass the 350th level of the Starry Sky, I'll find a piece of tofu and kill myself." The old man with star patterns on his face said, "That human cultivator can be valued by Ancestor Qianchen. He is not an ordinary person. Don't be so sure. Don't make a fool of yourself." The middle-aged man sneered disdainfully. Boom, boom, boom. The 350th level. Roar. 100,000 stars lined up to form a white tiger star form that was 100,000 miles long. It emitted a boundless murderous aura. A killing and slaughtering principle filled the entire starry sky. Dong, dong, dong. Every star was making a loud noise like a war drum. When they gathered together, the murderous intent was shocking. "Break!" Su Fong shouted angrily. His murderous intent and thoughts burst out and fought with the white tiger star form. After 6 hours, the white tiger star form finally collapsed. It turned into starlight and disappeared. Su Fong quickly entered the next level of the starry sky, the 351st level. And he still looked very relaxed. He didn't seem to have consumed much energy. On the main star of the stellar race, exclamations were heard again. The strong warriors of the stellar race around the star peak were all shocked. Some of them looked at the middle-aged man Daozu strangely. They seemed to want to see him kill himself with a piece of tofu. The middle-aged man Daozu was embarrassed. But after a cold snort, he said embarrassedly, "I was wrong. But if that human cultivator can surpass the 360th level of the starry sky, I'll—" "Great-grandfather!" Xing Sha was afraid that the middle-aged Dao ancestor would be like before and speak too confidently. She was afraid that he would be put on the spot later. The middle-aged man Daozu said domineeringly, "Since the establishment of the path of 10,000 arts in the starry sky, only 8 people have been able to surpass the 360th level of the starry sky. I don't believe that human cultivator can be the 9th person since he hasn't even reached the peak of the Daozu level. If he can surpass the 360th level, I'll just pull out a blade of grass and hang myself." Many Daozu of the stellar race shook their heads and smiled. In their opinion, Su Fong couldn't surpass the 360th level. The middle-aged man Daozu's words were in vain. But who knew 353, 355, 359 Su Fong was invincible all the way. His avatar executed different supreme truths and divine abilities. In less than 3 days, he actually passed through layers of the starry sky, and in the end, he killed his way through the 359th layer of the starry sky and stepped into the 360th layer. The smile on the star-robed middle-aged Dao ancestor's face stiffened. But no one laughed at him. Every strong warrior of the stellar race was shocked and surprised. Half a day later, Su Fong finally broke the 360th level of the starry sky. He stepped onto the starry sky path and entered the 361st level of the starry sky. Su Fong became the 9th Daozu to surpass the 360th level of the starry sky since the immortal realm of the stellar race created the path of 10,000 arts. This human cultivator is truly heaven-defying. Even if he fails in the end, he'll be famous among all the races in the chaos. It's incredible that a lowly race like the human race could produce such a peerless figure. He'll definitely become an immortal realm being in the future. On the main star of the stellar race, everyone was shocked by the great strength Su Fong had shown. They were all talking about it. Daozu, the middle-aged man in the stellar race, was livid. He gnashed his teeth and said, Is that hateful human monk deliberately going against me? In the void, the seventh ancestor of the Tensei people was also surprised. I didn't expect this human monk to surpass the 360th level of the starry sky. Even I am very surprised. However, every subsequent level of the starry sky will be difficult. The human cultivator is about to reach the end of his tether. Chapter 32:53. Just as Sengoku and the seventh forefather of the Tensei people had said, breaking through each of the last few levels was like surpassing a natural moat. However, to their surprise, Su Fang broke through the 361st level of the starry sky, and then the 362nd and 363rd levels of the starry sky. In the end, Su Fang performed the great returning ruins and broke through the 363rd level of the starry sky. However, his physical body and Taoist palace were seriously injured. He slowed down on the path of stars and became like an ordinary person. In fact, before he entered the next level of the starry sky, he urged the sky-piercing Blood King Vine to devour the life and energy of the blood pigs to recover his strength quickly. Su Fang stepped onto the 364th level of the starry sky under everyone's watchful eyes. On the main planet of the Starry Clan, there was an uproar like thunder in spring. The 364th level of the Path of 10,000 Arts. Since the creation of the Path of 10,000 Arts, only one peerless being of the stellar race, Daozu, had reached this level. Although he didn't pass this level, this Daozu had risen against the natural order. Later, he successfully broke through the limit of Daozu and became an immortal. Boom, boom, boom. Su Fang stepped onto the 364th level of the starry sky from the path of stars and felt as if he had fallen into a giant stone mill. The innumerable stars were divided into two distinct types. One was dazzling, while the other was dim and lightless. The bright and dark stars were arranged into a great array of yin and yang. As the stars moved, a terrifying twisting and strangling power burst out, crushing everything inside. Su Fang's Taoist heart and origin soul trembled for the first time. However, his immortal Taoist heart and immortal soul were unshakable. His defense was constantly suppressed and crushed. His physical body and Taoist palace were under such great pressure that they were about to collapse. Finally, I can't take it anymore. I was almost scared to death. Daozu, the middle-aged man in a starry robe, said resentfully around the star peak. He let out a long sigh of relief. It was too shocking. No one under the immortal level of the stellar race could reach the 364th level of the starry sky. Xing Sha stared at Su Fang's figure, his heart filled with a sense of defeat. No matter how confident he was, even if he could become a Daozu in the future, he would never be able to reach such a height on the path of 10,000 arts. Such a height was unsurpassable. Su Fang, you have to hold on. Xian Xian and Goddess Luo had been watching Su Fang's every move. When they saw that Su Fang was injured, they bit their lips until they bled, but they didn't notice anything. 364 floors should be his limit. We can't let such a peerless figure die here. The supreme expert of the Ice Soul Holy Clan was also shocked when he saw this scene. Su Fang's Dao S Daozus to save Suza's. If If he dies, death. Wei. Sengoku was hesitant. Su Fang's amazing performance was enough to prove that he would surpass Daozu's limit in the future and become an immortal level expert. If Sengoku were to save Su Fang now, he would gain the favor of two immortal level experts. He wouldn't lose anything, so this was a good deal. Who knew before Qianquanzi could make a move? The voice of the seventh ancestor's nascent spirit resounded. Qianquanzi, if that human cultivator is still alive, our clan's genius, Zhou Nuo, will die. If you save him, it'll be equivalent to sowing a great enmity with the heavenly Ian race. This, the seventh forefather of the Tensei people continued, that human cultivator is seeking his own death. He deserves to die on the path of 10,000 arts. If you can stand aside and do nothing, the Tensei people will owe the stellar race a favor. It's up to you to decide which is more important. Sengoku hesitated for a while, and gave up the idea of saving Su Fong. On the 364th level of the starry sky. Now that I've come this far, I have no choice but to risk my life. A look of determination flashed in Su Fong's eyes, and then he used the great creation technique. The power of the way of heaven, from destruction to termination to creation and evolution, burst out and turned into a beam of chaotic light, shattering the stars and tearing the starry sky apart. The celestial bodies of Yin and Yang were also shattered layer by layer. Stars fell from both sides of the path of stars one after another. Amidst the flying debris of the stars, Su Fong walked forward step by step. Although he was very slow, his footsteps were extremely firm. He took out a dozen elixirs and swallowed them. At the same time, he urged the sky-piercing Blood King Vine to devour the life and energy of those blood pigs. The entire main star of the stellar race fell into a dead silence. That human cultivator is incredible! No one has ever passed the 364th level of the starry sky. Immortal level. This man will definitely reach the peak of the great path and become immortal. The powerful beings of the stellar race around the star peak looked at Su Fong with awe and respect. It was the same for all races to respect the strong. Su Fong's strength had completely convinced these powerful beings of the stellar race. Their disdain and contempt for Su Fong and the entire human race had disappeared. After a long silence, Daozu, the middle-aged man in a starry robe, said embarrassedly, "That human cultivator can't possibly finish the entire path of 10,000 arts, can he?" Impossible. That was the first thought of every powerful being of the stellar race. But then they started to question their own thoughts. Maybe this time, that human cultivator could really create a miracle. He did it. Su Fong really did it. Xuanxin and Goddess Luo were relieved. They staggered. If Ancestor Shui hadn't intervened in time, they would have fallen to the ground. There's still one more level of the starry sky. If he can't pass the 365th level, everything before him will be zero. Daozu of the celestial tree race poured cold water on Xuanxin and Goddess Luo mercilessly, making them nervous again. Sengoku, we don't need your help. Su Fong passed the 364th level of the starry sky by himself. Humph, let's see what else you have to say. The powerful being of the Ice Soul Divine Clan sent a message to Sengoku and sneered at Sengoku. Then, he proudly said, "The legendary starry sky path of 10,000 arts that no one could pass through is actually just like this. Qianxinzi, you better prepare the Thunder Emperor seal. After Su Fong has finished traversing the starry sky path of 10,000 arts, you can directly give it to him." Sengoku snorted, "Forefather Ice Soul, don't be so smug. Although my race's path of 10,000 arts is not as good as the eternal heavenly road, it's impossible for that human cultivator to finish it. Let's wait and see. When Su Fong finishes the path of 10,000 arts, let's see where you and the celestial race's face will go." The powerful being of the Ice Soul Divine Clan replied bluntly. In truth, he didn't have much confidence in Su Fong. Su Fong slowly walked on the path of stars. He was deliberately stalling for time, so that he could recover as much strength as possible before entering the last level of the starry sky. Puff 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 inside the Dao Palace, one Daozu after another, including the 3 Tensei people Daozu, had their life force and cultivation sucked dry by the sky-piercing Blood King vines. They turned into white bones and shattered. Su Fong's originally weak aura also began to recover at an astonishing speed. 15 days. Su Fong finally entered the last level of the starry sky. At this moment, he was the center of attention. Not only the ordinary cultivators and Daozu of the celestial race, but also a few legendary immortal realm masters of the celestial race had their consciousnesses descend to observe Su Fang's every move. Although the 365th level of the starry sky was called a starry sky, there wasn't a single star in it. Instead, it was a space filled with a high-level and pure origin aura. That aura was the primordial aura. As soon as Su Fang stepped in, he was immediately shackled. It was as if his feet were glued to the ground. It was extremely difficult for him to even take a step forward. On both sides of the path of stars, the primordial aura rolled in. It contained the supreme heavenly way that could return all life to the origin. It constantly attacked Su Fang's defense. Although the last level of the starry sky didn't have any terrifying attacks, it had the terrifying power to make everything disappear and return everything to chaos. It was more shocking than any superpower. And it wasn't just the primordial aura. The space was filled with a majestic and icy will of the heavenly way. It rolled in and crushed Su Fang like a tide, attacking Su Fang's Tao heart and will. There was also a powerful force of fortune from the operation of the heavenly Tao that was constantly suppressing Su Fang's fortune, wanting to plunder and crush it. After walking for 3 days, Su Fang still couldn't see the end. He finally stopped. The last level of the starry sky must be shattered. Only then can I rush out of this level of the starry sky. However, with my current strength, it's impossible for me to shatter this primordial aura space. Su Fang stopped walking and sat down on the path of stars. He used his defense as he deduced and pondered. The Great Return to Ruin technique and the Great Creation technique can't tear open this level of the starry sky. The longevity lamp, the heavenly decree stone, and all my Dharma bodies can't be used. The last level of the path of 10,000 arts can't be broken through unless it's a Daozu powerhouse's ultimate attack. In the end, Su Fang came up with a result that almost made him despair. As the surrounding primordial aura kept attacking and rolling in, Su Fang's defense with primordial aura was gradually suppressed. 300 meters, 30 meters, 10 meters. The last level of the starry sky was created by the immortal powerhouses of the cosmic race by simulating the heavenly way. I'm not an immortal powerhouse after all. It's hard for me to resist the power of the heavenly way. It's not that the power I created isn't strong enough. It's that I can't use the Great Return to Ruin technique and the Great Creation technique to the extreme. How can I use the Great Return to Ruin technique and the Great Creation technique to the extreme? The more dangerous the situation was, the more Su Fang's potential in all aspects was stimulated to the extreme. His destiny Dharma body deduced again and again. In a flash, he deduced billions of times. However, what result could he deduce in such a short time? Deductions after deductions cost Su Fang an astonishing amount of his lifespan. His face began to age, and his hair gradually turned white. His aura quickly entered a withered state. It seems that I'm really going to die here this time. Chapter 3254. He swore to become a cultivator in the heaven-touching gate. In the small world, he was forced into the Xianjia gate by Prince Shui. In the great world, the other realms, and the Jiuxuan sacred realm, he encountered powerful enemies and experienced life and death situations again and again. From the moment he stepped onto the path of cultivation until now, the scenes that he had experienced flashed through his mind. I wanted to reach the peak of the great path, but I failed at the last step. I can't accept it. But I don't regret it. At least I died on the way to the peak. Thinking of that, Su Fang felt relieved in his heart, and the obsession in his heart was also put down. He closed his eyes and smiled calmly. That human cultivator gave up. Although he's amazing, he can't go against the heavens. He still can't pass the last level of the universe. What a pity! What a pity! Although he failed, he's a real cultivator. He deserves our respect. Seeing that Su Fang was about to give up, many people on the main planet of the stellar race sighed. The Tao ancestors of the starry sky race were also sighing. Some of them saluted Su Fang with cupped fist. Su Fang had made it this far. All the stellar race were impressed. Seeing that Su Fang couldn't pass the last step, they felt sorry for him, but they were also full of respect for Su Fang. Su Fang, Goddess Luo screamed and fainted. She was sucked into the Taoist palace of the heavenly tree race by Daozu. Xuanxin also closed her eyes in pain. Just as she was in despair, she felt a throbbing in her abdomen. She was suddenly refreshed. She covered her abdomen with both hands and looked relieved and determined. The strongest of the Ice Soul Divine tribe didn't give up. She continued to send messages to Sengoku. Sengoku, if you move Su Fang out of the path of 10,000 arts now, I promise to give you a primordial heavenly treasure. A primordial heavenly treasure? What kind of grand mist heavenly treasure is it? Sengoku was pleasantly surprised. Patriarch Ice Soul, don't tell me you're planning to give me your Ice Soul Holy Clan's signature treasure just to save that human cultivator? Of course not. It's not the Ice Soul Holy Clan's treasure, but that human Su Fang. He has a primordial heavenly treasure, the supreme treasure that Shin Wuzi used to intimidate all races in the primal chaos, the longevity lamp. Longevity lamp? The longevity lamp is in the hands of that human cultivator? Why would I lie to you? If you save him now, I will ask him to give you the longevity lamp. It's a deal. Sengoku readily agreed. Who knew just as Sengoku was about to attack, a sudden change occurred in the 365th layer of the starry sky. Rumble! An ethereal sound of thunder suddenly resounded in the 365th starry sky. A supreme will of the great path suddenly descended, and none of the shackles in the primordial space could stop it. The entire primordial space froze in an instant, and all kinds of attacks that were about to swallow Su Fang also stopped. The ruthless will of the great path and the power of the great path quickly condensed into a blade over Su Fang's head. It was thousands of feet long and flashed with lightning. That's cutting 3 corpses. That human cultivator cultivates the supreme great path, so he needs to cut off 3 corpses. Now he's on the last layer of the starry sky path of 10,000 arts, and he's going to cut off one of them. Patriarch Ice Soul, Sengoku, the 7 ancestors of the Tensei people, and the immortals of the starry sky race, who were secretly sensing, were all shocked. Cutting off 3 corpses means cutting off all shackles and coexisting with the great path. That human cultivator has already cut off one of his corpses. If he cuts off another one, his strength will definitely soar several times. Extraordinary! This human cultivator is extraordinary! If he can walk out of the starry sky path of 10,000 arts, it won't be long before there's another immortal seat in the eternal shrine. The immortals of the starry sky race communicated secretly. Patriarch Ice Soul was also surprised, but then he laughed. Sengoku, it seems that you don't need to do anything. Sengoku snorted. Humph, even if he makes a breakthrough, the chances of him passing the last layer of the starry sky are still slim. Patriarch Ice Soul said, Sengoku, if Su Fang becomes an immortal, he'll definitely be a powerful immortal. If you help him now, how can he not repay you? You'd better think carefully. Sengoku began to hesitate. I see. Su Fang looked at the lightning blade above his head. His eyes were calm, and his heart was clear and open-minded. Letting go. It meant transcendence. It was because he couldn't let go that he had an obsession in his heart, which made Su Fang surpass the peak and reach the peak of the great path. However, it was also because he couldn't let go of his obsession that he was shackled and couldn't surpass the peak of the great path. The moment he let go of his obsession was the moment he cut off the execution corpse. Execution corpse cut. Su Fang smiled and stared at the lightning blade formed by the will of the heavenly Tao above his head. Chi. The cold and merciless blade of the great path slashed down at Su Fang. When it reached the top of his head, The blade of lightning became only a foot long and sank into Su Fang's body. Qi, qi, qi. In Su Fang's mind, scenes of his cultivation journey flashed through his mind, and then they were shattered by the power of the great path one by one. At the same time, strands of karma were shattered, which were Su Fang's execution fruit. Su Fang felt as if his whole body was being torn apart. Every experience, every execution fruit, was stripping away his past and tearing apart his inner obsession. The shattered execution fruits were peeled away from Su Fang's body and condensed into a lifelike figure of Su Fang. Su Fang felt as if he was being stripped away, and at the same time, he felt a sense of transcendence. From now on, Su Fang was no longer obsessed with pursuing the Great Path, because he was the Great Path. Why should he pursue anything? At the same time, Su Fang also had an ethereal feeling, as if he himself was the heavenly Tao. The shackles of stepping into the peak of the Daozu also disappeared without a trace. He only needed to cultivate in seclusion for a while, and he would be able to step into the peak. The 3 corpses that have been cut off need to be placed in a treasure. My good corpse is placed in the heavenly edict stone, so where should I place my execution corpse? Su Fang's mind raced. At this time, the longevity lamp original spirit suddenly spoke in the palace. Master, you can place your execution corpse in the longevity lamp. Su Fang raised his eyebrows. In this way, you will merge with me and eventually lose your consciousness. Master, you don't understand. I'm a primordial heavenly treasure. I don't want wealth or to step onto the peak of the great path. I want to be able to shine the brightest. That's the meaning of my existence. Master, you have the Tao immortal realm and have already severed your good corpse and execution corpse. In the future, you will definitely become immortal and coexist with the Great Path. In this way, I can also coexist with the Great Path. Longevity lamp, I'll have to trouble you then. Not at all. This is your subordinate's fortune, and also your subordinate's final destination. Fine. Su Fang took out the longevity lamp. He shifted his consciousness. Bang. The execution corpse that had been cut out suddenly went into the longevity lamp. Boom. The longevity lamp suddenly burned with a shocking soul flame that was more than 100 feet tall. Terrifying soul waves spread out of the path of spells and spread to the entire main planet of the starry sky race. The souls of countless cultivators trembled. Even the souls of the immortal realm experts trembled. The longevity lamp's original spirit quickly dispersed and was merged with Su Fang's execution corpse. The entire longevity lamp's aura changed completely. It no longer had the aura of a primordial heavenly treasure. Instead, it was like a part of Su Fang, eternally immortal and incomparably persistent. Su Fang couldn't care less about further merging. He sucked the longevity lamp into his Tao palace. The will of the great path that Su Fang had attracted by killing the execution corpse gradually dissipated from the 365th level of the starry sky. The attacks from the primordial space rolled toward Su Fang again. Once the execution corpse is destroyed, the power of the combat power I created will be incomparable. It will definitely be able to shatter this part of the starry sky. Su Fang stood up on the path of stars. Heavenly Devourer, help me! The primordial qi in Su Fang's Tao Palace was almost exhausted. Fortunately, he still had the Heavenly Devourer. The Heavenly Devourer was a glutton that could eat anything. It spat out the purest primordial qi that Su Fang could easily absorb. Qi qi qi. The Heavenly Devourer spat out silk from Su Fang's Tao Palace. As these silk threads fell into the Tao Palace, they rapidly melted away, turning into primordial qi. Great ruin returning art, great good fortune art, break for me. Su Fang waved his hand. His thoughts, will, primordial qi, and the highest truths of the heavenly Tao rapidly condensed into a 3-foot square mirror of primordial chaos. The great ruin returning art had been brewed to the limit. Then it was time for creation, evolution, and finally the great good fortune art. At this time, Su Fang displayed the great good fortune art. It flowed smoothly like water, containing the supreme truths of the heavenly Tao. It erupted with the world-shaking might of the heavenly Tao's annihilation, creation, and evolution. Compared to before, it was 10 times stronger. Before, Su Fang's strength was at the limit of the Daozu's 8th level. But now, as he displayed this supernatural ability, he displayed the strength of the 9th level of the Daozu. Qi. A beam of primordial chaos shot out, tearing apart the laws of the entire 365th level of the starry sky, shattering the void and disintegrating the will. Everything was collapsing. In the midst of the collapse, Su Fang staggered toward the end of the path of stars. He passed. That human cultivator actually passed through the 365th level of the starry sky. This person is heaven-defying. No one has ever done it before, and no one will ever do it again. Exclamations sounded like thunderclap. Countless people were exclaiming in shock. The saying that no one can completely pass through the path of 10,000 arts is now history. This human cultivator, if he cultivates for a few more days, he might be able to pass through the eternal path of heavens. Even if he doesn't reach the immortal realm, he can still enter the eternal shrine. I never imagined that there would be such a person in the human race. Not only the ordinary cultivators and the Daozu of the stellar race, but also the immortal realm experts were surprised and praised. The 7th forefather of the Tensei people snorted coldly, then his voice disappeared without a trace. Sengoku, what do you think? Forefather Ice Soul transmitted his thoughts to Sengoku. He was very proud and pleased. Chapter 3255. Whoosh. Su Fang was no longer shackled on the last level of the starry path of 10,000 arts. More than 10 days later, he finally reached the end of the starry path. A door of starry light appeared at the end of the starry path. Su Fang stepped into it and disappeared without a trace. Space was distorted. Divine power wrapped around Su Fang and appeared in a space of nothingness. No. This was not an ordinary independent spacetime. Instead, it was a spacetime opened in nothingness like the Luai's original realm. However, the Luai's original realm was a universe with its own universe. This spacetime was just a cave residence. The two could not be compared at all. Su Fang. A divine light flashed and transformed into Sengoku's figure. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Su Fang cupped his fists and bowed to Sengoku. Although Su Fang had some resentment toward Sengoku, the other party was an immortal realm expert. The Thunder Emperor seal was also in his hands. He had to swallow his anger. Afraid that Sengoku would go back on his word, Su Fang deliberately spoke first to shut Sengoku's mouth. You're probably cursing me in your heart right now. I'll give you the Thunder Emperor seal. Sengoku chuckled. It was as if he was a completely different person from his previous cold and aloof attitude. Su Fang grabbed the Thunder Emperor seal and used the origin of the Luai's original realm in the Taoist palace to sense it. There was no doubt that it was the Thunder Emperor seal. Yes, the 4 Thunder Emperor seals were finally in his hands. Su Fang was overjoyed. He cupped his fists and thanked Sengoku again. This trip to the starry path was not in vain. Not only did he get the Thunder Emperor seal as he wished, but he also killed the execution zombie. His cultivation was one step closer to the peak of the Great Path. Su Fang, although you have obtained the Thunder Emperor's seal, you must still hold a grudge against me in your heart. Am I right? Qianxinzi stared at Su Fang as if he could see through Su Fang's heart. Su Fang hurriedly said, How would I dare? I have no choice. The Tensei people sent an undying warrior to the star race. If I don't find an excuse to give you the Thunder Emperor stamp, it will be hard to explain to the Tensei people. After hearing Chen Zi's explanation, Su Fang finally understood that the immortal realm master of the Tensei people had come personally. Thousand Chen Zi continued, Your performance on the 10,000 spell path was witnessed by me and my clan's undying. In the future, you will definitely surpass Daozu's limit and become an undying. When you enter the Eternal Shrine, the stellar race will help you if you need help. Thank you, Senior, Su Fang said happily. It was not easy to get the promise of an immortal rank expert. Take this pill. It should be of some use to you. Sengoku took out a purple jade bottle and slowly flew towards Su Fang. Senior, this is... Su Fang asked in confusion. Ice Soul Ancestor knows the origin of this pill. You will know its use later. Consider it a good karma between the stellar race and you. Sengoku laughed. He waved his hand and rolled up a gust of divine power to pull Su Fang out of time and space. When Su Fang appeared, he directly appeared outside the Star Peak. Congratulations to Su Fangda for being the first person to finish the 10,000 spell path. An old man with starry patterns on his face flew towards Su Fang with many other strong warriors of the stellar race. Everyone looked at Su Fang with awe, as if they were facing an undying warrior. The middle-aged man in starry robes came to Su Fang with Xing Sha. He cupped his fists and said, "My junior is as blind as a bat. Please forgive him for offending you. Don't be so courteous, seniors of the stellar race. I'm seriously injured and can't accompany you. Goodbye." Su Fang smiled embarrassedly and cupped his fists to bid farewell. When he returned to the cave residence rented by the Ice Soul Holy Clan on the main planet of the stellar race, the outside of the cave residence was already surrounded by countless cultivators. See, when they arrived at Su Fang, many cultivators of different races bowed to Su Fang. The two Daozu from the Yimo race and the Tianqin race came specially to apologize to Su Fang for offending Su Fang. Naturally, they would also give him a generous gift. Su Fang is seriously injured. Why don't you send him back to recover? When Ice Soul Ancestors will arrived, many cultivators of different races who wanted to make friends with Su Fang left in embarrassment. Su Fang, Xian Xin and Goddess Luo finally met Su Fang. Seeing the lingering fear in their eyes, Su Fang felt warm in his heart. Return inside the cave residence, Su Fang was not in a hurry to recover. After thanking Ice Soul Ancestor, he took out the pill given to him by Sengoku and asked, "Excuse me, Senior, what kind of pill is this?" Ice Soul Ancestor's white brows furrowed. He grabbed the purple jade bottle and unsealed it. A pill flew out from within. The elixir was like a purple star, and contained an astonishing amount of life aura. Not only that, the pill also had a pill spirit. As soon as it flew out of the jade bottle, it unexpectedly tried to escape. However, Ice Soul Ancestor used a divine might to envelop it. "Star embryo pill?" Ice Soul Ancestor asked. Old Ancestor Po was startled, revealing a surprised expression. Then, divine light swept over Xian Xin and Goddess Luo, and his expression turned strange. Su Fangfang asked in surprise, "Senior, what kind of pill is this star embryo pill?" From Sengoku's expression, it seems this pill is very extraordinary. Ice Soul Ancestor clicked his tongue and said, "Extraordinary, very extraordinary. The star embryo pill is a pill refined by an immortal of the starry sky race, using all kinds of rare treasures. It surpasses king-grade pills, so of course it's extraordinary." An immortal refined pill? Su Fang was not surprised, and his eyes became incomparably sharp. "Answer," he asked, "what's the use of the star embryo pill?" Ice Soul Ancestor glanced at Xuanxin. He stroked his white beard and chuckled. "This pill has no other use. Its only use is for starry sky race cultivators to repair a fetus." Repair a fetus? Su Fang was shocked. Qian Chenzi was an immortal realm expert, yet he had given him a pill to nourish the fetus. What was the meaning of this? Ice Ancestor Soul clicked his tongue and sighed. The extraordinary aspect of the mortal molting star embryo pill is that it can allow a child in a gestation state to obtain cultivation innate talent that is difficult for ordinary people to reach. Just this one mortal molting star embryo pill is enough to allow your child to possess unparalleled cultivation, innate talent. My descendant? Su Fang's heart shook. He suddenly realized and looked at Xuanxin and Luo Tianyu. Luo Xianu looked confused, but Xuanxin's face was completely red, and her eyes flashed with a happy luster. Xuanxin, you're pregnant? Su Fang's mind exploded, as if 10,000 bolts of spring thunder had struck. Even with his Dao heart realm and cultivation, he was no different from an ordinary man at this moment. Cultivators were different from mortals. Their chances of giving birth were much lower than mortals. The higher their cultivation, the stronger their life force, and the more difficult it was to give birth. But cultivators' time to give birth was much longer than mortals. It was absolutely not a trifling 10 months of pregnancy that could be born. Su Fangfang and Xuanxin became Dao companions in Pongcong Universe World, but they were unable to have children. He thought he couldn't. He never thought. This trip to the starry sky race this time unexpectedly succeeded. Xuanxin blushed and nodded. Before you went to challenge the starry sky 10,000 arts path, I already knew. I was afraid you would be distracted, so I didn't tell you. Ha ha, I'm going to be a father, heh heh. Su Fang grinned like an idiot. His entire person was dizzy, already unable to distinguish north from south. Luo Xianu looked at Xuanxin, both happy and jealous. Xuezu also congratulated Su Fang. Ice Ancestor Soul said, Su Fang, with your and Xuanxin's talents, in addition to the mortal molting star embryo pill, your children will certainly be extraordinary in the future. This one has decided to take him as a disciple. You must not refuse. Senior, you want to take my child as a disciple? Su Fang was dumbstruck. He never thought that before the child was born, Ancestor Ice Soul would unexpectedly take him as a disciple. Ice, what kind of person was Ancestor Soul? He was an immortal powerhouse, the strongest powerhouse of the Ice Soul Holy Tribe. How shocking was this to take an unborn child as a disciple? Snowzu stammered from the side. Lord Supreme Powerhouse, Xuanxin is this disciple's adopted daughter, but you're taking her child as a disciple. Isn't that a little inappropriate? Ancestor Ice Soul said domineeringly and rudely. What's inappropriate? If this one says it's okay, then it's okay. It's decided. Before the child is born, Xuanxin will follow this one to the Ice Soul Holy Territory. She can't go anywhere. Su Fang said, Senior, this. Ancestor Ice Soul snorted. What, do you have a problem? Su Fang rubbed his nose. How could he have a problem with Ancestor Ice Soul's decision? Even if he had a problem with it, Ancestor Ice Soul was his benefactor, and Xuanxin was now a disciple of the Ice Soul Holy Tribe. What could he do? Moreover, the crisis of the human race had yet to be resolved. Xuanxin staying in the Ice Soul Holy Tribe was undoubtedly the safest. You've already obtained the Thunder Emperor seal, Su Fang. This one should return and take Xuanxin with me. When the child is born, this one will inform you. Xuanxin girl, let's go. Ancestor Ice Soul rolled out a Xian Guang and enveloped Xuanxin and Ancestor Snow. Together with the Star Nest Pill, they were sucked into the Dao Palace. Then, his figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. I didn't expect to have such amazing luck on this trip to the Starry Sky Tribe. My child. Haha, compared to my child, the Thunder Emperor seal and the Execution Corpse are not even worth mentioning. If Father and the others know that I have a child, I wonder how happy they will be. Oh no, how could I forget to ask if the child is a boy or a girl? What should I name it? The great joy made Su Fang's imagination run wild. Hu Luo the fairy's voice came. Su Fang, you're too biased. Su Fang was stunned. How am I biased? The fairy snorted. Humph, why can elder sister Xuanxin have a child, but I don't? Su Fang smiled awkwardly. I will definitely work harder. Big about 10 years. Su Fang parted ways with Luo and activated the Thunder Emperor seal, attracting the Thunder Pond Origin Realm's will to descend and suck him into the Thunder Pond Origin Realm. Chapter 3256. I was lucky to get the Thunder Emperor mark of the Starry Tribe. Su Fang told Realm Spirit about the path of 1,000 arts in the starry sky. Indeed, if he hadn't killed the executioner at the last moment, he would have died in the last level of the path of 10,000 arts. You passed the path of 10,000 arts? Spirit was shocked by Su Fang's words. Answer: I don't know if I underestimated you or if your growth is beyond my expectation. I didn't expect you to pass the path of 10,000 arts. Clang. When Su Fang first entered the Luai's original sector, Realm Spirit thought there was only a 10% chance that Su Fang could pass the 9 levels of heaven. Now, so what? If it weren't for Zhou Nua, Realm Spirit was almost certain that Su Fang could pass the 9 levels of heaven. Realm Spirit continued, since you've finished the path of 10,000 arts, you only need to pass the 5th and 6th levels. The 7th level of heaven won't be difficult for you. Su Fang asked in confusion, the 7th level of heaven? Is the test of the 7th level of heaven related to the path of 10,000 arts? Realm Spirit said embarrassedly, yes. The test of the 7th level of heaven is to pass the eternal heavenly road and enter the eternal shrine. If you can pass the path of 10,000 arts, it means you have at least a 70% chance of passing the eternal heavenly road. Besides, you're about to reach the peak of Daozu, so you'll have a greater chance of passing the eternal heavenly road in the future. The 7th level of heaven is to pass the eternal shrine? Su Fang was surprised. Listen. Ancestor Ice Soul said the eternal heavenly road was more difficult than the path of 10,000 arts. The path of 10,000 arts was created by an immortal of the starry race, while the eternal heavenly road was created by the immortal of the chaos race. Since Realm Spirit said so, Su Fang didn't have much fear of the eternal heavenly road. Realm Spirit continued, as long as you can enter the eternal shrine, the last 2 tests won't pose any danger to you. You just have to wait until you become undying and merge with the Luai's original world. Before he could rejoice, Realm Spirit's tone changed. It's still too early to say these things. Out of the 5 Lightning Emperor seals, you have obtained 4 of them. The remaining one is in the Qianyuan clan. I'm afraid it won't be easy for you to obtain it. According to what I know, the relationship between the Qianyuan clan and the Tensei people is not ordinary. Fang frowned and asked, Zhou Nua still hasn't returned to the Thunder Lake original realm? He hasn't returned yet. That's strange. Since the Tensei people have such a good relationship with the Qianyuan clan, logically speaking, Zhou Nua should be able to easily obtain the 5th Lightning Emperor seal. Even if that Tensei people's junior managed to obtain the other Thunder Emperor's seal, it would be meaningless for him to return to the Thunder Lock original realm. He is probably waiting for you, thinking of a way to snatch all the Thunder Emperor's seals from you. Su Fang of the human race, the 5th Lightning Emperor seal is of utmost importance to you. Otherwise, all your previous efforts will be in vain and your future will be in vain. I will definitely obtain the 5th Thunder Emperor seal. For myself, for my friends and family, for the entire human race, and most importantly for my unborn child, I must obtain the last Lightning Emperor seal and pass through the 5th layer no matter what. Determination flashed in Su Fang's eyes. The 5 Lightning Emperor seals were not only related to his own life and death, but also the future of the human race. After learning that Xuanxin was pregnant, Su Fang had an additional heavy responsibility on his shoulders. You seem to be heavily injured and will not be able to recover in a short period of time. I will lend you a hand within the rules. Realm Spirit unleashed the might of the Thunder Lake original realm and sent Su Fang into the divine origin pool of the 4th layer. After Su Fang and Zhou Nua had absorbed the Dao Source aura in the divine origin pool, there was not much left. However, the time in the divine origin pool was 1,000,000 times faster than the outside world. Su Fang could recover his strength in the divine origin pool and then find a way to obtain the fifth Lightning Emperor seal. Su Fang lacked time. He did not expect Realm Spirit to take the initiative to help him so much. It seemed that Realm Spirit had already decided on him. He sat down cross-legged in the divine origin pool. He recklessly devoured the pills, and at the same time urged the heaven-piercing Blood King Vines to devour the pills without any regard for the consequences. The Tensei people trapped in the Dao Palace were in big trouble for Daozu. Tens of millions of years had passed in the divine origin pool, and only 10 years had passed in Realm Spirit. Lord Realm Spirit, I have recovered. Please send me to the Qianyuan clan. Su Fang walked out of the divine origin pool. Thousands of years, tens of thousands of years, had not only allowed Su Fang to recover completely, but his cultivation had also reached the peak of Daozu. Su Fang now had the strength of more than 90% of the Daozu limit. If he used the longevity lamp and the heavenly stone, it would be difficult for him to find an opponent below the immortal realm. Su Fang of the human race, be careful. The Tensei people and the Qianyuan clan are not people you can fight against now. Although the immortal realm experts are restricted by the rules of the Eternal Shrine and cannot attack you, there is no guarantee that they will not take the risk out of desperation. If that happens, I will not be able to help you. As for the junior of the Tensei people, he is restricted by the rules of the Luai's original realm. I cannot do anything to him. You will have to rely on your own strength to obtain the fifth Lightning Emperor seal. Go. I also hope that you can become the master of the Luai's original realm. Don't disappoint me. Using the power of the Luai's original realm, Primordial Spirit sent Su Fang directly to the spacetime of the Qianyuan clan. Lightning enveloped Su Fang and appeared in another spacetime. Sensing Su Fang was shocked to find that the spacetime was filled with a shocking Qianyuan qi. Qianyuan. Qianyuan was the beginning. Qianyuan was the beginning of the heavenly Tao. Su. The so-called Qianyuan qi was the spirit qi that all things relied on to create and transform. It was also the first energy that evolved from primordial qi. It was vigorous, and endlessly growing. Life forms born in such a space-time plane must be high-level life forms. The talent and strength of the cultivators were naturally incomparably shocking. Su. Using the origin of the Luai's original realm in the Dao Palace to sense the Lightning Emperor seal, he teleported into the depths of spacetime, where, shuttling through numerous planes, he passed through countless prosperous mystic worlds. Suddenly, as soon as he entered the main world of the Qianyuan clan, a rune talisman in Su Fang's body moved. Grab. He came out to take a look. Origin. It was the leaf-shaped rune talisman given by the precious tree Divine Mother. The voice of the precious tree Divine Mother came from it. Su Fang, you also came to the Qianyuan clan? Su Fang asked, yes. Divine Mother, are you also in the Qianyuan clan? Did you see any immortal realm masters of the Qianyuan clan? Before going to the Starry Sky clan, Su Fang asked the precious tree Divine Mother to meet the masters of the Qianyuan clan, hoping to get the Lightning Emperor seal from them. Unexpectedly, she suddenly used the rune talisman to contact Su Fang. Bao, the precious tree Divine Mother said, I did see an immortal realm master of the Qianyuan clan, but he neither agreed nor refused. I don't know why. I see. It seems that the Qianyuan clan doesn't intend to take out the Lightning Emperor seal. Well, you don't have to worry about this anymore. I'll think of another way. Su Fang, the Heavenly Tree clan doesn't have any immortal realm masters. Although the pills they make are extraordinary, they don't have much confidence in front of an immortal realm master. I'm sorry this time. Divine Mother, you don't have to blame yourself. There might be more to this. The deal with you is still valid. If I can become the master of the Luai's original realm, I'll definitely give the main root of the heavenly vine to you. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself. Su Fang fell into deep thought after listening to the conversation between the precious tree Divine Mother. Very well. Obviously, the Qianyuan clan wouldn't give the Lightning Emperor seal to Su Fang. They must have other motives for not rejecting Su Fang. With the relationship between the Qianyuan clan and the Tensei people, it won't be difficult for Zhou Nua to get the last Lightning Emperor seal with an Immortal Realm Master. He's staying in the Qianyuan clan because he wants to borrow the power of the Qianyuan clan to kill me and take the 4 Lightning Emperor seals from me. Fang quickly understood Zhou Nua's intention. I know the Qianyuan clan has a trap, but I have to go. Humph. As long as the Immortal Realm Masters don't interfere, who in the chaos space can stop me? Fang smiled domineeringly and teleported toward the depths of the Qianyuan clan's main realm. Buzz. Buzz. Suddenly, he sensed an aura deep in the main realm, which caused the Luai's original realm origin to react. A violent tremor came from the Lightning Emperor seal. No. Only the aura of the Lightning Emperor seal and Zhou Nua's life force were sensed by Su Fang's destiny avatar. Zhou Nua, no matter what trap you set, you won't be able to stop me. Fang snorted and followed the aura of the Lightning Emperor seal and Zhou Nua to a void deep in the main realm. You're finally here, Su Fang. Zhou Nua stood in the void with his hands behind his back, looking at Su Fang from afar with a smile on his handsome face. Su Fang smiled embarrassedly. You should feel despair when you see me. I don't know what's so good for you. Zhou Nua took out a seal. It was a Lightning Emperor seal. However, he smiled and said, You've finally found 4 Lightning Emperor seals for me. With the one in my hand, I have 5 Lightning Emperor seals. This means that I can pass the 5th level of the Luai's original realm. How can I not be happy? Fang said bluntly, I'll make you happy for nothing. I'll take the Lightning Emperor seal from you, and I'll be the one to enter the 6th level of the Luai's original realm. Zhou Nua sneered and said, Do you think I'll be waiting here unprepared? The Lightning Emperor seal and I are just bait here to lure you in. I don't know if you're stupid or confident, but you really came. Of course, I know you're bait. However, I'm going to devour you today and leave calmly. Arrogant. Zhou Nua sneered and then crushed a rune talisman. Qi. Qi. Streaks of chaotic qi burst out from the rune, transforming into a huge golden Qian Yuan hexagram that was thousands of feet long. Boom. Chapter 3257. Sensing the power of the array world, Su Fang's divine light changed slightly. With his attainments in formations, although he couldn't tell what kind of formation this was, he could still see some clues. This array was a trap array, and its power was almost at the limit of a level 9 array. It had the power of creation and transformation of all things and the power of the heavenly Tao. It was like the heavenly Tao with endless changes. Zhou Nua's proud voice sounded. Su Fang, prepare to die in this Taisher sky-dominating array. Taisher sky-dominating array? Su Fang stood still in the array and said coldly, Zhou Nua, what do you have other than relying on your family's power? Are you a cultivator with such despicable behavior? What qualifications do you have to fight for the Luai's original realm with me? Humph, your cultivation is higher than mine, and I'm not an idiot. Why would I fight with you directly? In time, I will be able to surpass you. However, I don't have much time, so I can only rely on the power behind me. Su Fang shouted coldly and domineeringly. I, Su Fang, relied on my own efforts to go from a mortal in a low-level universe to a peak expert of the primal chaos 10,000 arts path. Not long ago, I completed the Starry Sky 10,000 arts path. Trash like you will never have the chance to surpass me. So what if you are more powerful than me? I used the rune talismans of the Qianyuan race's experts and the power of the Qianyuan world to perform this Taisher sky-dominating array. Combined with my strength, it is enough to kill you. No matter how extraordinary you are, in the end, you will only be a shooting star in the sky. As for me, I will become the master of the original realm of Leisure. an eternal existence. My name, Zhou Nua, will resound through the ages. Nua Nua shouted coldly and activated the array. A kind of heavenly Tao power evolved from the heavenly Tao rolled toward Su Fang. Great returning ruins technique. Great creation technique. Su Fang didn't hesitate to perform his most powerful technique. Qi. A beam of chaotic light shot out, and the array began to shatter layer by layer. Who knew vast sky origin Qi ceaselessly gushed out from the sky, causing the grand formation to circulate without end, and it quickly recovered to its previous state. Yu Nua's complacent voice was transmitted over with the help of the formation's divine might. Su Fang, even I have to admit that your strength is close to that of an immortal. However, how can this Taisher heaven-dominating grand formation be something you can shake? This array is connected to the origin of the world of Qianyuan. Unless you have the strength to shake the entire world of Qianyuan, you can't break this array. Why do I need to break this formation? As long as I kill you, there will be no one controlling the array formation. It will be a dead array formation. Wouldn't it be easy for me to walk out of this array formation? With a wave of his hand, the longevity lamp appeared before him. No matter how powerful this grand array was, it could not block the longevity lamp's sole attack. As long as Zhou Nua was killed, everything would be resolved. Just as Su Fang was about to activate the longevity lamp, a formidable will at the immortal stage suddenly descended to shackle Su Fang. Immortal of the Qianyuan race. Su Fang's will was shaken, and his immortal Tao heart began to tremble. 1. He had never thought that the immortal of the Qianyuan race would attack him personally. Boom! Rumble! Outside the grand array, a thunderous sound came from the void, and then the gate of heaven appeared. Yuling's cold voice came from the gate of heaven. Su Fang of the Qianyuan race is one of the successors chosen by the Reizeigu people. According to the eternal law, immortal of the Qianyuan race can't attack him. Su Fang was surprised and happy. It seemed that Realm Spirit really wanted to help him. When I become the master of the original realm of Luais, the first thing I'll do is to kill you, you despicable Realm Spirit. Hearing Realm Spirit's voice, Zhou Nua gritted his teeth, but he did not dare to say it out loud. He only dared to think about it in his heart. Whoosh! This willpower figure quickly condensed and transformed into a young man. He wore a long black robe that was covered with diagrams. His entire body was emitting an eternal and immortal aura. He was obviously an immortal warrior. The young man said majestically, "I'm not going to attack that human. I'm just upholding the rules of the Qianyuan race, so it's not against the eternal law." The rules of the Qianyuan race? The young man said in a cold and domineering voice, "Any cultivator who enters the Qianyuan race, including immortal of the original realm, can't activate the Hongmeng celestial treasure. Otherwise, you'll be killed. I'm just warning you. If you activate the longevity lamp again, don't blame me for being ruthless." Realm Spirit said angrily, "Since when did the Qianyuan race have such a strange rule?" The young man said indifferently, "There wasn't before. Now that I've said so, there is." This immortal of the Qianyuan race clearly wanted to stop Su Fang from activating the longevity lamp. He did not even bother to think of a suitable reason. An immortal of the original realm was so domineering and shameless. So what if I don't activate the longevity lamp? Su Fang showed a domineering smile, looking down on the strong one. A chaotic Xian Guang flashed out from between his eyebrows and turned into a ferocious insect that was thousands of feet long. It was the heaven-swallowing insect. When the heaven-swallowing insect was just born, it could even devour Hongmeng's celestial treasures. Now, after it transformed into an adult, its devouring ability became even more amazing. It was not difficult to tear a hole in the Taisher sky-dominating array. Then, the young immortal of the Qianyuan race said majestically, "The heaven-swallowing insect is ferocious. It devours everything and will destroy the spiritual qi of our race. Therefore, in the Qianyuan race, no one is allowed to borrow the power of this insect. Immortal of the Qianyuan race, you are shameless. Realm Spirit's angry voice came from the heaven gate. Su. A fierce aura surged in Fang Qing's heart as he shouted coldly, "According to my lord, do you want me to surrender and wait for Zhou Nua to kill me?" Nian said indifferently, "So what if I do?" Realm Spirit of the Luai's original realm shouted, "Immortal of the Qianyuan race, if you interfere with the competition between the two candidates of the Reizeigu people, even if the junior of the Tensei people wins in the end, I will kill him according to the rules of the Luai's original realm." The young man was silent for a moment. Then he said indifferently, "Fine. Besides the longevity lamp and the heaven-swallowing insect, you can use other methods. Is this fair?" "Fair?" Su Fang sneered. "Qianyuan race, I, Su Fang, will remember this. One day, Su Fang will pay you back tenfold." Zhou Nua's laughter rolled over. "Su Fang, without the longevity lamp and the heaven-swallowing insect, what can you use to fight me?" "What a clown!" Su Fang snorted and shouted domineeringly, "Even without the longevity lamp and the heaven-swallowing insect, killing a clown like you will be a piece of cake." Su Fang released his purple fate avatar and spider, ignoring the shackles of the array, and rushed toward Zhou Nua. "I am a powerhouse carefully nurtured by the Tensei people. How can you touch my providence?" A purple jade token flashed out of Zhou Nua's head. A strange aura of the great Tao of time erupted from the jade token. It contained the power of providence and enveloped Zhou Nua. Luck the spider and purple fate avatar's divine aura, which could devour providence and strengthen oneself with tribulations, dissipated the moment they came into contact with the jade token's divine aura. No. As expected of the Tensei people, an upper race of the chaos, he actually had such a shocking Xian Bao that could defend against attacks from providence. Boom, boom, boom. The array was activated by Zhou Nua, and it rolled toward Su Fang, forcing Su Fang to defend himself with all his might. The Taisher sky-dominating array's power was truly shocking. Although it couldn't do anything to Su Fang for now, it was constantly depleting Su Fang's strength. As time passed, his strength would be exhausted sooner or later, and he would be crushed by the array's divine aura. "Su Fang, you are definitely a peerless powerhouse. You are rare even among the 10,000 races. But so what? After all, you are a descendant of the human race. No matter how strong you are, how can you fight against a powerful force? Give up your feudal resistance and obediently hand over the Thunder Emperor's seal. I will let you die with dignity." Zhou Nua was very pleased, and his arrogant laughter echoed in the array. "Unless you are an immortal powerhouse, you can kill me, Su Fang. You, Zhou Nua, are a clown. You are not qualified." Su Fang's destiny avatar flashed out of his body. Heaven the destiny avatar existed in the void of destiny. Unless it was a powerhouse who had grasped the power of destiny or an immortal, no one could detect its existence. Although the Taisher sky-dominating array was powerful, it couldn't form any shackles on the destiny avatar. The void figure flashed and charged toward Zhou Nua's destiny aura. Fang at the same time. Su Fang once again used the great ruins of End technique and great creation technique with all his strength, erupting with earth-shattering divine aura. It collided with the array's divine aura, shaking the entire array. The array's world shook and shattered everywhere. Now that things have come to this, what's the point of continuing to fight like a cornered beast? Zhou Nua thought that victory was in his hands, and he mocked Su Fang. Unexpectedly, the illusory destiny celestial body was already close to him, grabbing at him from the air. Lightning surged between the 5 fingers of the void, and the thunder from destiny exploded. A divine aura that could obliterate destiny instantly enveloped Zhou Nua. Su Fang grasped the thunder of destiny, which could obliterate destiny with the life-shrinking technique. After becoming a Daozu, he had forgotten all his other divine auras and created his own divine aura. The divine aura he was using now was very similar to the thunder of destiny, but it was 10 times stronger. Zhou Nuo suddenly felt a sudden clap of thunder, and the fear of doomsday surged from the bottom of his heart. That's the great path of destiny's peerless divine aura. Human cultivator, stop! The immortal of the Qian Yuan clan shouted. Su Fang was trapped in the Taisher sky-dominating array, and the longevity lamp and heaven-swallowing insects were restricted by the immortal of the Qian Yuan clan. He thought that Su Fang would be killed by Zhou Nuo sooner or later, so he didn't take Su Fang seriously. Jia. Su Fang's fiercest attack attracted the immortal of the Qian Yuan clan's attention. The immortal of the Qian Yuan clan thought that Su Fang was going to make a last stand, but he didn't expect that Su Fang's real intention was Zhou Nu. No matter how strong this immortal was, he couldn't stop it in time. Zhou. Chapter 3258. Only now did Zhou Nu realize how stupid he had been this time. He had used himself and the Thunder Emperor's seal as bait and had successfully lured Su Fang into the trap. However, he had become the prey's food. This wasn't stupid? After 10 breaths, the destiny power that enveloped Zhou Nuo disappeared. Although Zhou Nuo was severely injured, he was still alive. Of course, it wasn't that Su Fang was soft-hearted or that Su Fang's destiny avatar wasn't strong enough to kill Zhou Nu. It was that Su Fang didn't want to kill Zhou Nuo directly and infuriate the Tensei people, which would lead to the Tensei people taking revenge on the human race. Instead, since Zhou Nuo was going to die anyway, it didn't matter if he kept him alive. Tensei people trash. You can't even kill a human cultivator with the help of the Taisher sky-dominating formation. What trash! The Qian Yuan immortal didn't intend to save Zhou Nuo when he saw that he couldn't salvage the situation. Just as the destiny power on Zhou Nuo's body dissipated, Su Fang's destiny avatar suddenly grabbed at the air again. A supreme destiny power that could seize the destiny of others descended on Zhou Nuo. It was as if an invisible hand had pressed down on his body. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. The Thunder Emperor's seal was also forcefully stripped from his body. Whoosh! With Zhou Nuo in charge of the formation, Su Fang could no longer restrain him. He shattered the surrounding shackles and charged out of the broken formation, grabbing the Thunder Emperor's seal with a wave of his hand. The 5th Thunder Emperor seal was finally in his hands. Su Fang hurriedly absorbed the Thunder Emperor seal into the space within his body. Then, he put his Purple Fate avatar, Spider avatar, and Destiny avatar into his Dao Palace. Hua! Su Fang waved his hand and swept out a Xian Guang. Figures rolled out of the Xian Guang. They were Zhou Nuo's father and the thousands of Tensei people who had been restrained by Su Fang. Of the Tensei people who were shackled by the Su Fang, only 5 of them were left. The rest were naturally devoured by the Su Fang. Zhou Nuo, your father and the cultivators of the Tensei people have been returned to me. If you have any last words, you'd better tell them to your father as soon as possible. Su Fang smiled embarrassedly and rushed out of the formation shackles. Zhou Nuo's father and the cultivators of the Tensei people were kept by his side as blood pigs. He had no choice but to release them for now since he couldn't completely enrage the Tensei people. Su Fang Yuekong flew towards the heavenly gate. However, just as Su Fang was about to enter the Leisha original domain, the Gan Yuan Undying suddenly let out a voice filled with killing intent. My Gan Yuan clan, do you think a human ant like you can come and go as you please? The voice exploded in Su Fang's mind like spring thunder. Immediately, a strong and domineering willpower hit Su Fang's Dao heart. His Dao heart trembled and his body staggered. He let out a muffled groan and spat out a mouthful of blood. Lucky! Fortunately, Su Fang had cultivated an immortal Dao heart. Otherwise, the willpower attack of an immortal could easily crush his willpower and shatter his Dao heart. The young man of the Gan Yuan clan was surprised that Su Fang could withstand the willpower of an immortal. You've cultivated an immortal Dao heart. No wonder you can withstand my willpower. Daozu's realm is already so amazing. If you really become an immortal, won't you be a threat in the future? The young man of the Gan Yuan clan's eyes suddenly became fierce, and he planned to kill Su Fong to prevent future troubles. Gosh! Just as the young man of the Gan Yuan clan was about to attack, the sound of thunder came from the void space around him. Eternal Sky Law. Humph! The young man of the Gan Yuan clan was afraid, and had to give up the idea of attacking. The Eternal Sky Law was jointly made by the immortal masters of the Chaos clans. It was not only a verbal restriction, but also a supreme rule. Gosh! Even immortal masters who violated the Eternal Sky Law would be punished by the Eternal Sky Law. How could the young man of the Gan Yuan clan not be afraid? Gan Yuan clan, I Su Fong will remember this, Su Fong said coldly. Then, a godly power came from the Leisha original sector and sucked him into the gate of heaven. He disappeared from the sky. Even if you become an immortal, you won't be able to threaten my clan. You'll only end up being sealed. The young man of the Gan Yuan clan sneered at Su Fong's threat. Who won? A godly light flashed and turned into the figure of the seventh ancestor of the Tensei people. Useless trash, you still failed in the end, making me waste my efforts for nothing. The seventh ancestor of the Tensei people glanced at Zhou Nua indifferently and ignored him. He took all the Tensei people into his body, leaving only Zhou Nua and his father. The immortal master of the Gan Yuan clan said, "We can't blame the young Tensei people for being useless. It's because the human is too powerful. Failure is failure. Humph! Let him fend for himself." The seventh ancestor of the Tensei people smiled indifferently and left with the immortal master of the Gan Yuan clan. Zhou Nua was already seriously injured, and now he was in despair. He was a peerless genius of the Tensei people. He was valued by the immortal master because he had the chance to seize the Leisha original sector. Now that the 5 Thunder Emperor marks were in Su Fong's hands, it meant that Zhou Nua had failed completely. There was no chance for him to turn the situation around. Zhou Nua's father consoled him. "Zhou Nua, don't be discouraged. With your talent, you will definitely be able to make a comeback. Besides, even if you can't seize the Leisha original sector, you are still the young prince of the Tensei people. Who among the Tensei people can do anything to you?" Zhou Nua stared at his father with icy eyes. "Are you worried about me, or are you worried about yourself? Are you afraid that you won't be able to continue enjoying your wealth after I die?" Zhou Nua's father's expression froze. "You are my son. Of course I'm worried about you. You old piece of trash. I'm going to die soon, but you can continue living among the Tensei people. You can die with me." Zhou Nua seemed to have gone mad. He laughed maniacally and activated the heavenly jade Rui scepter. Boom, boom, boom. The power of light and moon exploded on Zhou Nua's father, causing his lifespan to decrease rapidly. He rapidly aged from middle age to a pile of bones. "How can I lose to a human ant? I can't accept this." Zhou Nua let out a howl filled with despair and unwillingness. Su Fong was sucked into the 4th heaven of the Leisha original sector. "Su Fong, congratulations on obtaining 5 Lightning Emperor seals and successfully passing the 5th heavens test. You have a chance to become the master of the Leisha original sector." Realm Spirit walked out of the void and smiled at Su Fong. Su Fong didn't look happy at all. He cupped his fists and bowed to Realm Spirit. "Lord Realm Spirit, I have a favor to ask of you. As long as it is within the rules, I can help you." Realm Spirit's tone was no longer cold and aloof. Su Fong said, "Lord Realm Spirit, please don't kill Zhou Nua for the time being." Spirit was stunned and confused. "Why? You should be itching to kill Zhou Nua," Su Fong explained. Of course he wanted to kill Zhou Nua. However, if Zhou Nua died, the Tensei people would take revenge on Su Fong sooner or later to save face. Su Fong wasn't afraid of the Tensei people's revenge, but he was worried that it would implicate the entire human race. Rather than that, it was better to keep Zhou Nua alive. Zhou Nua would definitely not accept this and would take revenge like crazy. Once he took revenge on the human race, the higher-ups of the Tensei people wouldn't interfere for the time being. After all, to the Tensei people, the human race was just a lowly race. If it wasn't for the Tensei people's face, they wouldn't even care about the human race. Zhou Nua's revenge would definitely be inferior to the Tensei people's, so Su Fang could easily resolve it. This way, Su Fang would have time. As long as he could successfully pass the sixth heaven, he would be able to move the entire human race to the Leisha original sector. Then, at that time, not only the Tensei people, but the threat of the Divine Lord of 10 Directions would also be resolved. Realm Spirit nodded and said, "You've already passed the most difficult fifth heaven test and will definitely become the master of the Leisha original sector in the future. If I don't agree to this request, wouldn't I be too unreasonable? I'll agree to it. It won't be too late to kill Zhou Nua after you pass the sixth heaven test." Su Fang was instantly overjoyed. Realm Spirit continued, "Don't be happy too early. That undying from the Qian Yuan clan has done something to your Dao heart. If you don't deal with it quickly, it might affect your future cultivation." "The Qian Yuan clan has done something to my Dao heart?" Su Fang's divine light changed instantly. He hurriedly used his consciousness to sense his Dao heart. Fruit, however, it was just as Realm Spirit had said. Shockingly, a universe hexagram condensed from the energy of will had appeared above his eternal Dao heart, and it was ceaselessly seeping into Su Fang's Dao heart with the intention of confining it. If he didn't deal with it quickly, Su Fang's Dao heart would eventually be eroded even if he had an immortal Dao heart. Qian Yuan clan, Su Fang, will remember this. Su Fang gnashed his teeth, his heart filled with intense hatred for the Qian Yuan clan. Receive Realm Spirit sent Su Fang into the Divine Origin Pool. Su Fang sat cross-legged in the Divine Origin Pool, recovering the lifespan consumed by performing the Destiny God art while using his willpower to attack the hexagram seal of the Qian Yuan clan. Wait, Su Fang recovered his lifespan, and the hexagram seal on his immortal Dao heart was broken. He hurriedly ended this cultivation. More than 1,000,000 years had passed since then. If only a thought had passed in the outside world during this long period of time. The problem is solved? Let's go. I'll take you to open the seal of the fifth heaven. Realm Spirit didn't miss the opportunity to appear and move Su Fang out of the Divine Origin Pool. Under Realm Spirit's guidance, Su Fang flew all the way to the highest point of the fourth heaven. He didn't stop until he hit the strong barrier between the fourth and fifth heaven. The barrier between the heavens was extremely strong. It was like a natural chasm, and it contained immortal willpower. Even an immortal expert would find it difficult to break through it. However, Su Fang had 5 Thunder Emperor seals, so no matter how strong the barrier was, it was nothing. He took out 5 Thunder Emperor seals from the Taoist palace. Chi. Xian Guang shot out from the Thunder Emperor seals and landed on the barrier, forming a formation. Finally, it solidified into a Xian gate that was more than 3 meters tall. Chapter 3259. Su Fang obtained the 5 Thunder Emperor seals and finally entered the fifth heaven of the Luai's original realm, as he wished. After sensing it, Su Fang was overjoyed. The spirit Qi and heavenly Tao of the fifth heaven were almost the same as the Jiuxuan divine realm of the human race. Although it was not a holy land for cultivation, it was definitely not bad. It was enough for human cultivators below the Tao Saint realm to cultivate. The cultivation illusion of the fifth heaven is already so shocking. How shocking will the sixth heaven and the 3 upper heavens mentioned by Realm Spirit be? Su Fang was filled with anticipation. He longed to become the master of the Luai's original realm as soon as possible. He had to at least pass the test of the sixth heaven before he could move the human race into the Luai's original realm. Only then would the human race have a chance to thrive. I'm going to start the test of the sixth heaven, Su Fong said impatiently. Don't be impatient, Realm Spirit chuckled. It won't be too late to start the test of the sixth heaven after you've fulfilled the reward of the fifth heaven. Reward? Su Fong's eyes suddenly brightened. The rewards of the fourth heaven had given Su Fong amazing opportunities. The reward of the fifth heaven would definitely be extraordinary as well. I wonder what kind of treasure the reward of the fifth heaven will be? Su Fong was filled with anticipation. It's not a treasure, but it's extremely important for your current situation. Spirit chuckled and clasped his hands together. Then, he suddenly separated them. A crack appeared in the void. A giant of the Reizeigu people that was 10,000 feet tall stepped out of the crack. He stood in front of Su Fong like a mountain. Tight. Then, another 4 cultivators of the Reizeigu people walked out of the crack. However, their size was not as shocking as the first giant. They were only 80,000 feet tall. There were a total of 5 giants. Su Fong was as small as an ant in front of them. Su Fong. Fong sensed and could not help but reveal a surprised expression. Puppets. It turned out that these giants did not have any aura of life. They were not real cultivators of the Reizeigu people, but 5 puppets. The Reizeigu people's immortal rank experts went against the heavens and attracted the wrath of the heavens. All of our clansmen were killed by the wrath of the heavens. Now, how can there still be any Reizeigu people alive? Realm Spirit let out a sigh. He explained again. These 5 puppets were created by the Reizeigu people's undying realm warriors. They knew that the Reizeigu people were doomed, so they wiped out the souls and fates of the 5 undying realm warriors and used a forbidden technique to create these thunder god puppets to avoid the punishment. Don't underestimate these thunder puppets. The most powerful one has 90% of Daozu's power, and the others have almost 90% of Daozu's power. Apart from immortal warriors, it's hard to find an opponent under immortal realm. Hearing Realm Spirit's words, Su Fong's eyes lit up in an instant. He found it hard to believe. These 5 Thunder God war puppets are the reward for the 5th layer of heaven? Not bad. 5 peerless Daozu with power similar to mine. Su Fong was overjoyed. Only you can control these 5 Thunder God war puppets with the Thunder Emperor seal. You can let them guard the human race. Then you can complete the 6th layer of heaven's test with ease. It's really useful to me. It's like solving my urgent problem. This is probably caused by your luck. Whatever you lack, it will appear. Remember, you can't use these 5 Thunder God war puppets for the 6th layer of heaven's test. Su Fong smiled embarrassedly. If you want to become the master of the Leisha original domain, you have to rely on your own power. What's the use of these external forces? Spirit nodded satisfactorily. Very good. Put away the Thunder God war puppet. I'll tell you the content of the 6th layer of heaven's test. Su Fong activated the Thunder Emperor seal. With the help of the Thunder Emperor seal, he merged his will, primordial chi, and soul power into the lightning god mark between the eyebrows of the 5 Thunder God war puppet. There. Su Fong felt a very subtle connection with the 5 Thunder God war puppet. He then moved his mind and absorbed the puppets into the Holy Ji Palace. With the 5 Thunder God war puppets, Su Fong felt a lot more at ease. He then asked, Lord Realm Spirit, you said before that the 6th layer of heaven requires slaughter. The blood of hundreds of millions of cultivators is used to announce the return of the Reizeigu people. How will the test be carried out? It's very simple. Realm Spirit grabbed at the air and pulled out a war flag. The flag unfurled. It was only 10 feet wide, but it exuded a domineering aura, as well as a monstrous aura of slaughter and war. Battle flag. The moment Realm Spirit pulled out the war flag, every layer of heaven in the Leisha original domain rumbled with thunder. It was as if they were welcoming the appearance of the war flag. Battle flag. On one side of the flag was an image of a thunder god. It was like a bolt of lightning that could strike out at any time and destroy everything. On the other side, shocking lightning surged. It was as if there was a Leja hidden within. This is the sovereign war flag of the Rezegu people. Back then, the Luai's ancient clan reigned supreme over tens of thousands of races. Once the battle flag was raised, there was not a single race that did not submit. They were invincible, Realm Spirit said in a deep voice. His voice was filled with dominance and pride. Sovereign war flag? Responding to the aura of the war flag, Su Fang's blood began to boil. Strong fighting and killing intent began to stir in his body. Realm Spirit then said with a murderous aura, "The test of the 6th layer of heaven is to use the blood of cultivators from all races to dye the sovereign war flag red." Su Fang asked, "Dye the sovereign war flag red? How many cultivators' blood is needed to dye the sovereign war flag red?" "I'm not too sure about that. The number of cultivators required to kill varies according to their strength." Realm Spirit's answer made Su Fang frown. It seemed that it would not be easy to pass the test of the 6th layer of heaven. "Which races do I have to kill?" "It doesn't matter which race it is. However, the higher the level of the race, the better. You'll pass the test faster." "It doesn't matter which race it is?" Su's deep eyes flashed with a sharp aura. Among the races in the chaos, Su Fang wanted to kill the 12 races the most. Then there were the other 2 higher races, the Tensei people and the Qianyuan race. The 12 races that invaded the human world, as well as the Tensei people and the Qianyuan race, use your blood to dye the sovereign war flag red and announce the return of the Rezegu people to the chaos. Fang held the sovereign war flag in his hand. At this moment, his killing intent and fighting spirit soared to the sky. "Remember, the time limit is still 1,000,000 years. If you can't dye the sovereign war flag red after that time, it will be considered a failure. Although I have high hopes for you, if you fail, the result will be the same. I know that the result of failure is death. Due to the restrictions of the eternal heavenly law, those immortal realm experts won't attack you for the time being. However, you can't be too reckless and provoke powerful races for no reason. Some of them are 10 times or even 100 times stronger than the Tensei people and the Qianyuan race. Even if you become an immortal realm expert in the future, you won't be able to escape the fate of being sealed by them. Even the Luai's original realm won't be able to protect you." Fang's heart skipped a beat and he kept Realm Spirit's warning in mind. "Lord Realm Spirit, please send me to the human world," Su Fang said without hesitation. Only once he settled down in the human world, he could go on a killing spree without any worries. "Go." Realm Spirit nodded and activated the divine might of the Luai's original realm to send Su Fang out of the 5th layer of heaven. Su Fang appeared outside the royal heaven divine palace. Then, in a flash, he went straight to the cave abode inside the palace. Shwa, shwa, shwa. He released the 5 Thunder God war puppets from the Tao Palace and ordered them to sink into the ocean in the cave abode. With these 5 powerful Thunder God war puppets guarding the royal heaven divine palace, Su Fang felt relieved. Unless an immortal realm expert came personally, he would kill as many enemies as they dared to come. Then, Su Fang went through the array and arrived at his father's Tao Hall. "Fanger, you're back?" Seeing Su Fang, Su Yaotian was pleasantly surprised. Due to the restrictions of his life force and talent, it was difficult for Su Yaotian to have any great achievements in cultivation. However, Su Fang now had the royal heaven celestial body and could use the powerful divine grace technique, giving him great strength and ability. He wasn't in a hurry now. It wouldn't be too late to enter the Luai's original realm. "I have good news for you. I'm here to tell you." Su Fang's face was full of joy, which surprised Su Yaotian. Su Fang transmitted his thoughts again. "You're finally back, Su Fang. When are you going to call Xuanxin back?" Yin Tian's voice was like a large bell. Then, he went through the array and came out. Then, Xian Lingzi, Shu Yuntian, and the other elders came one after another. Su Fang she told the news of Xian Xian's pregnancy to everyone. Xuanxin is pregnant? Su Fang, you're going to be a father? Everyone was surprised and shocked. Inside the palace, there was a moment of silence. Next, the elders were overjoyed. Xian Tian was in tears, but he pointed at Su Fangda and laughed. I thought there was something wrong with you. I didn't expect you to give me a great-grandchild. My Xuanxin is still the best, ha ha ha. Su Yaotian was laughing so hard that he couldn't close his mouth. This was the happiest moment in his life. Xian. So was Lingzi. Su Fang she took over Mo Fenghua's body and completely treated Su Fang as his own grandson. Now that Su Fang had a descendant, how could he not be surprised? Su Yuntian snorted and said, Humph, you little brat, you are actually so biased. Master doted on you so much in the past. Go to Wanjin's place. Don't leave until I hug my grandson. Fang Shi's head started to ache. He spent a few years with his family. Su Fang Shi suppressed his family and left the royal heaven divine palace. For myself, for my family, and for my unborn child, I will kill my way out of this world, and raise a storm of blood among the non-humankind. Chapter 3260. Then, Su Fang began to contact Dongxian Daozu, Mother of Darkness Daozu, Tian Su, and other human experts. Whoosh huff one thoughts broke through the air around Su Fang, transforming into figures of Daozu experts of the human clan. Su Fang, could it be that the Imperial Heaven Divine region has been invaded by foreign experts? Dongxian Daozu asked in a low voice. The other Daozu were also very nervous. Su Fang smiled in a relaxed manner. It's nothing. I've passed the 5th heavenly layer of the Thunder Lake original realm, and I'm about to begin the 6th heavenly layer. Before I leave, I'm here to visit my family. Many Daozu of the human race finally felt relieved. At the same time, they were overjoyed. Su Fang's performance in the Luai's original realm was directly related to the survival of the entire human race. Now that Su Fang had passed the test of the 5th heaven, it was naturally great news. Take Su Fang then asked about the Western Mystery Mountain's Divine Lord of 10 Directions. The expressions of Dongxian Daozu and the others immediately turned grave. Tian the Fate Platform Warrior Tian Su said, The situation is not good. The 10 Directions Divine Lord is constantly attacking the seal. I estimate that the seal will be broken by the 10 Directions Divine Lord in less than 500,000 years. 500,000 years? There's enough time. Su Fang relaxed. Only once they passed the trial of the 6th heaven, they would be able to move all the humans into the Thunder Marsh original realm. At that time, the 10 Directions Divine Lords would have nothing to fear. No matter how difficult the trial of the 6th heaven was, Su Fang was confident that he could complete it within 500,000 years. Now the only thing they needed to worry about was the Tensei people. Furthermore, if they massacred the 12 clans and the Qianyuan clan that invaded the human world, these clans would retaliate. However, there were 5 powerful Thunder God war puppets in the Imperial Heaven Divine Palace. As long as it wasn't an immortal being, entering the human world was tantamount to suicide. Immortal Realm warriors were proud of their status, so they wouldn't make a move easily. They rarely appeared in the world, so Su Fang didn't need to worry about Immortal Realm warriors making a move. Su Fang then turned to Dongxian Daozu and the others and said, I've invited Master and Seniors here for an important matter. Su Fang's idea of moving the human race to the Luai's original realm was slowly explained to the human race's Daozu. Yes, some people were excited, but some were hesitant and fell into deep thought. There were also a few Daozu humans who were unmoved. Su Fang smiled awkwardly. This is how could Su Fang not know the thoughts of the human Daozu? In which one of these human Daozu on the scene was not a peerless figure with a high position? When they moved to the Luai's original realm, although they would still be the high and mighty Daozu, there would be an extra layer of sky above their head. They would even hand over everything to Su Fang. How could they not hesitate? Xian Daozu snorted. The human race is already facing destruction, but all of them are still thinking about their own selfish interests. If you hesitate any longer, you'll be destroyed. I won't stay in the Jiuxuan Divine Realm. I'll bring all the cultivators of the Eastern Profound Divine Realm and the Eastern Profound Heavenly Pavilion to the Luai's original realm. Tian Su also said, the Destiny platform won't stay in the human world either. Daozu also hurriedly expressed his stance. Su Fang said indifferently, I won't force those who don't want to go. The cultivation environment of the Luai's original realm was more than 10 times better than the human world. In the Luai's original realm could give birth to more Dao saints, Daozu, and even immortal realm experts. Yes. To any cultivator, entering the Luai's original realm was a fortune and opportunity. It was laughable that some human Daozu were short-sighted and thought that Su Fang wanted to control them. They didn't want to go, so Su Fang naturally wouldn't force them. Su Fang continued, everyone, please be careful of the revenge of the Tensei people. However, I've left some backups in the Imperial Heaven Divine Palace, so you don't have to worry too much. After secretly communicating with Dongxian Daozu and Dark Mother Daozu, Su Fang flew into the sky. Southern Profound Divine Realm. She, the Southern Profound Divine Realm, one of the 9 divine realms of the human race, had long fallen into the hands of the foreign races. One Fang Fang's profound world. The human and demon cultivators who were enslaved by the 12 races had accumulated resentment, hostility, and the evil energy of the foreign races' cultivators. It filled the entire Southern Profound Divine Realm. Although the foreign races had released many human cultivators after the heavenly scramble, many cultivators in the Southern Profound Divine Realm, especially the mortals, had been ruled by the foreign races. In the eyes of the foreign races, the human race was worse than pigs and sheep. Countless humans and demons had been tortured to death by the foreign races, and the resentment accumulated over millions of years had spread throughout the Southern Profound Divine Realm. The prosperous cultivation world of the past was now gone and turned into a hell. Whoosh! Su Fang's figure appeared in the air of a profound world in the Southern Profound Divine Realm. Yang Kai's perception instantly swept across the entire sealed world, allowing him to see all the tragic scenes and feel the resentful aura of the sealed world, allowing Su Fang's evil corpse to take control of his consciousness. Boom! His will suddenly descended into the profound world. All the foreign race cultivators' wills instantly crumbled under Su Fang's supreme will. Their souls scattered as screams of agony filled the air. Thus Su Fang's current strength had reached a level where he could control his will to the smallest detail. The human cultivators, mortals, big goblin, and all other life forms besides the foreign races were completely unaffected. Whoosh! Su Fang waved his hand and summoned a war flag. It fluttered above his head. It was the supreme war flag. Hiss! Wisps of blood energy flew out of the profound world and gathered into a blood-red streak of light that entered the supreme war flag. After absorbing the blood energy of more than 10 million foreign race cultivators, the supreme war flag only turned slightly red. It didn't change at all. Su Fang took the supreme war flag and disappeared from the profound world. 15 minutes later. Profound cheers and cries of pain rang out in the profound worlds. Those were the humans and demons who had been tortured by the foreign race cultivators. All of a sudden, all the foreign race cultivators who had tortured them were dead. They had regained their freedom and were overjoyed. Just like that, Su Fang killed his way into the depths of the Southern Profound Divine Realm. Every time he passed by a profound world, he would cause a storm of blood. Countless foreign race cultivators were killed by Su Fang, and their blood energy was absorbed by the Supreme War Flag. After killing more than a dozen profound worlds, Su Fang had killed more than 100 million foreign race cultivators. However, those who were killed were all low-level foreign race cultivators. The strongest among them was only a Dao saint. After absorbing so much blood, the Supreme War flag finally changed. Blood patterns appeared on the surface of the flag, and they took up about 1/10 of the entire flag. The entire flag was blood red, and its killing intent and aura of war had become even stronger. This is far from enough. Su Fong raised his eyebrows. It was much more difficult to dye the entire Supreme War flag red than he had imagined. Lord! Even though he had killed a lot of foreign race cultivators, their strength was too low. I need to kill those foreign race Daozu. Only then can I dye the Supreme War flag red. Su Fong found some tricks and prepared to head straight for the center of power in the southern profound divine realm. Oh my! He didn't need to take the initiative to go there. His previous massacre had already alerted the foreign race expert. Whoosh! Whoosh! There were a total of 5 alien Tao ancestors, one of whom had reached the peak of the Tao ancestor level. They broke through the air in front of Su Fong. The leader of the group, a peak Daozu from the savage flood dragon race, finally recognized Su Fong. His expression changed instantly. Human cultivator, how dare you slaughter the cultivators of the 12 races? You are Su Fong. The other 4 Daozu were also trembling. To the 12 races who had invaded the human race, Su Fong was their worst nightmare. They couldn't hide from him, so how could they not be afraid of Su Fong now that he was right in front of them? All of you die. Su Fong had witnessed the miserable fate of the human race along the way, and his heart was filled with killing intent. His entire being was dominated by evil corpses, so he naturally wouldn't show any mercy to these foreign race Daozu. Use your Imperial Heaven Avatar to strip them of their innate abilities. Su Fong activated his Imperial Heaven Avatar and unleashed a divine might that could strip a cultivator of their innate abilities, enveloping the 5 foreign race Daozu. Don't push me too far, Su Fong. I'm not a weakling that you can kill as you please. If worse comes to worst, I'll fight you to the death. The savage flood dragon race Daozu let out a ferocious roar and charged at Su Fong recklessly. Even the divine might unleashed by the Imperial Heaven Avatar couldn't stop it for a while. Su Fong shouted. A cold killing intent shot out from his eyes, and an evil intent surged out and attacked the Taoist heart of the savage flood dragon race expert. The savage flood dragon race Daozu's ferocious aura instantly vanished. Then, soul flames ignited in Su Fong's eyes. The longevity lamp's supreme ability to devour souls shook his soul and was about to devour it. Chi! A heaven-piercing blood king vine shot out from Su Fong's palm and pierced through the savage flood dragon race Daozu's head. The golden runes formed by the Imperial Heaven Avatar forcefully stripped away the Daozu's innate ability, sealed it and absorbed it into the Imperial Heaven Avatar. The other 4 Daozu quickly followed in the footsteps of the savage flood dragon race Daozu. In less than 10 breaths, all 5 Daozu were killed by Su Fong. Whoosh! The Paragon War flag fluttered as it absorbed all the blood energy of the 5 alien Dao patriarchs into it. Battle! Many more blood runes appeared on the surface of the flag. The image of lightning on one side of the flag glowed with a bloody light, and the image of lightning on the other side of the flag glowed with a shocking bloody light. Su Fong smiled coldly and disappeared into the void. When he reappeared, he was already in the deepest part of the southern profound divine region. South. The southern profound divine region was one of the first divine regions to be conquered by the 12 races. It used to be the center of power in the southern profound divine region, but now it was the base of the 12 races. The moment Su Fong appeared, he rolled up the sovereign war flag and floated in the air. A monstrous killing intent filled the air, and it instantly alarmed all the foreign race cultivators. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. No. Countless foreign race cultivators charged toward Su Fong. Whoosh. Suddenly, an angry shout rang out. It's Su Fong of the human race. Everyone back down. Su Fong. Su Fong of the human race is here. When the foreign race cultivators heard Su Fong's name, they immediately retreated like the receding tide. Then, a bloody light flashed and quickly condensed into the figure of Shui Ling of the Blood Jia race. Su Fang, you've got guts. I spared your life in the Divine Sycamore race's divine ruins, but I didn't think that you would dare to come to the southern profound divine region. Since you're here, stay here forever. Chapter 3261. The Blood Jia race expert, Shui Ling, was a peak-level Daozu expert. Moreover, he was not an ordinary peak-level Daozu expert. He was only a hair's breadth away from the immortal realm. His strength surpassed 90% of the Daozu limit. However, in the Divine Sycamore race's divine ruins, he was severely injured by Su Fang's Great Void Returning Art and Great Creation Art. If not for the Grand Mist Heavenly Treasure, the Blood Transformation Divine Mirror, he would have been killed by Su Fang. Therefore, he knew that Su Fang's strength was shocking. Therefore, he took out the Grand Mist Heavenly Treasure, the Blood Transformation Divine Mirror. No. Shui Ling alone, there were more than 30 Tao ancestors from other alien clans. Among them, there were 9 at the peak of the Tao ancestor realm. They appeared from all directions and surrounded Su Fang, confining the space and time. Then they began to activate their dark treasures and condense their divine skills. Shui Ling looked at Su Fang and said, Su Fang, ever since the Heavenly Scramble Conference, the 12 races have retreated from the Western Profound Divine Realm and have been defending the Southern Profound Divine Realm. Do you plan to wage an all-out war with the 12 races by coming to the Southern Profound Divine Realm? War? Su Fang smiled evilly. Look. Su Fang looked at the supreme battle flag in the sky and said in a voice full of killing intent, I came to the Southern Profound Divine Realm not to wage a war. I only want to kill all the cultivators of the 12 races who have invaded the human world. I want to use your blood to comfort the humans who died in your hands and dye the supreme battle flag red. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The supreme battle flag seemed to sense Su Fang's strong killing intent and shook violently. The flag fluttered and a monstrous killing intent filled the air. Kill us all? Shui Ling couldn't help but laugh. He sneered. Who do you think you are? You are not an immortal realm expert. How dare you be so arrogant and think that you can kill all of us? The surrounding experts laughed and mocked Su Fang. Kill. Shui Ling activated the Hongmeng Heavenly Treasure, the Blood Transformation Godly Mirror. Blood light burst out and turned into a thick blood tide that rolled towards Su Fang. A kind of evil and terrifying power that could freeze all living things instantly enveloped Su Fang. The experts of Daozu also unleashed their most powerful attack. Their divine might was incomparably shocking, and they wanted to completely devour Su Fang. You haven't merged with the treasure yet. Instead, you've only activated a part of its power with your Blood Jia clan bloodline. Not to mention the fact that you're severely injured now. How much power can you release from the treasure? Great Returning Ruins Technique. Facing the Grand Mist Heavenly Treasure's attack, Su Fang did not dare to be the slightest bit careless and directly executed the Great Ruins Ending Art. Bastard, the surface of the mirror quickly condensed, brewing the supreme power of destruction and the ultimate truth of the Great Tao. In such a short period of time, his strength has actually improved so much. Shui Ling's divine light changed slightly. He could also see that Su Fang's strength had greatly improved compared to when he was in the Divine Sycamore clan's Ruins of God. Not to mention that his cultivation had reached the peak of Daozu, the power of his superpower was more than 10 times stronger than before. This was because Su Fang's cultivation had improved after he killed the executioner. His mastery of the Great Ruins Ending Art had become more profound. Naturally, the power of his self-created Great Ruins Ending Art was more powerful. As long as you're not an immortal realm expert, you won't be able to resist the supreme power of the Blood Transformation Godly Mirror. Shui Ling sneered disdainfully. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood onto the mirror. Boom! The power of the Blood Transformation Godly Mirror suddenly increased by several times. Although I haven't reached the immortal realm, I can still kill you. Su Fang revealed an evil and domineering smile. Qi! The destructive power brewing in the mirror had reached its peak. Suddenly, its aura changed drastically. A kind of invincible divine power that could create and evolve all things erupted along with the chaotic light beam. The light beam tore apart the billowing blood tide and shattered the powerful attacks of the 12 clans. It then rushed toward Xueling. Xueling had never expected that the power of Su Fang's superpower would be so terrifying. Even the power of the primordial heavenly treasure could not resist its power. His divine light changed instantly. He hurriedly activated the blood transformation godly mirror to block in front of him. However, this time, he was not as lucky as last time. The light beam knocked the blood transformation godly mirror away. It made a trembling sound and disappeared into the void. The remaining power of the great creation art hit Xueling. He did not have time to defend himself. He struggled in the light beam for a few breaths. Finally, his body broke down layer by layer and turned into ashes. First, the peak Daozu, who was only one step away from the immortal realm, died just like that. Master Xueling has been killed. Immortal realm. That human Su Fang must have the strength of an immortal realm expert. Run. The Daozu of the 12 clans were all surprised and shocked. They lost their will to fight and fled. None of you will escape. Su Fang's voice was filled with killing intent. The longevity lamp flew out from between his eyebrows. Boom! From the longevity lamp ignited with a raging soul flame, which instantly enveloped the surroundings. In under the powerful soul-devouring power of the longevity lamp, the souls of the cultivators of the 12 races, including those at the pinnacle of the Daozu, began to tremble and were quickly stripped from their bodies. Swish! Swish! Numerous soul phantoms swarmed towards Su Fang from all directions with smiles on their faces. They were like a tidal wave. Ho-ho-ho! Long the life lamp burned furiously. As soon as the souls fell into the flames, they were quickly incinerated and turned into pure soul power. This continued for half an hour. Chang, the flame of the longevity lamp, stopped dancing, and no more souls flew towards it. Zhou, in the surrounding void space, there were layers and layers of cultivators from other races. Including the Daozu and Dao saints from the 12 races, there were more than 1 billion of them. Entry other than the low-level cultivators from the southern profound divine realm and some profound realms, all of the cultivators from the 12 races who had invaded the human world had been killed by the longevity lamp. Chang, the power of the longevity lamp was domineering and terrifying. Same aspect were primordial heavenly treasures. Xueling's blood transformation divine mirror was not superior to the longevity lamp, but they had different abilities. However, the blood transformation divine mirror was not Xueling's treasure, so the power it could unleash was limited. However, the longevity lamp was different. Su Fang had cultivated a Dharma body, and Su Fang had placed the corpse he had killed in the longevity lamp. Now that Su Fang had unleashed more than 80% of its power, no one below the immortal realm could resist it. They were both primordial heavenly treasures, but it depended on who had them. However, unleashing the longevity lamp this time also caused Su Fang great pain. The pain of his soul being burned made his immortal Dao heart tremble, and his consciousness blurred. By now that his consciousness was being dominated by the evil corpse, his consciousness was filled with evil killing and war. His mind was filled with the crazy thought of killing everything. I can't let the evil corpse dominate my consciousness, or I will become an evil monster like the evil corpse of the 10 Directions Divine Master. Su Fang's Dao heart was strong enough, and he quickly recovered from the state of being dominated by evil and evil thoughts. Then, he activated the Supreme Battle Flag and began to madly absorb the blood energy from the bodies of the cultivators from the 12 races. Whoosh! Whoosh! The Supreme Battle Flag shook violently, and lines of blood appeared on the flag, as if they were about to burst out of the flag. Wait! The The blood energy of all the foreign race cultivators was completely absorbed, and the entire Supreme Battle Flag was blood red. However, it was still far from being completely dyed red. After killing so many cultivators from the 12 races, only about 60% of the Supreme Battle Flag was dyed red. The lives of the cultivators from the 12 races are not that high. Their blood is far from enough. Next, it should be the Qianyuan race. Su Fang smiled murderously. Take. He unleashed his divine power and sucked all the corpses into the Tao Palace. This, although the blood energy of the foreign race cultivators had been sucked dry, there was still life essence and energy left. There were also large amounts of treasures and resources. Su Fang naturally couldn't let them go to waste. Su Fang felt that it was a pity for the blood Jia race's primordial heavenly treasure, the blood transformation godly mirror. No. There was nothing to feel sorry about. It wasn't easy to capture a primordial heavenly treasure. Moreover, the blood transformation godly mirror was the most precious treasure of the blood Jia race. If Su Fang really took it away, the immortal realm experts of the blood Jia race would probably arrive in an instant. The primordial heavenly treasure was related to the rise and fall of a race. Even for a higher race like the Tensei people, the primordial heavenly treasure was still extremely important. Su Fang waved his hand and a Xian Guang appeared, enveloping many figures. There were more than 10,000 cultivators, including 3 Tao saints and Sima Xiaoxiao. They were all cultivators from the southern profound divine domain. South after the mystic god domain was breached and Tao ancestor Nan Xian perished, the south mystic cultivators either fled or were captured. After the heavenly scramble, Su Fang and Dongxian Daozu rescued a large number of cultivators. Most of them were cultivators from the southern profound divine domain. This even though some of the south profound cultivators were rescued, the south profound divine realm was occupied by the foreign races and they had no home to return to. Thus, they could only seek refuge with the other divine realms. There were also some who sought refuge with the Eastern Profound Heavenly Pavilion before following Su Fang to the Imperial Heaven Divine Palace. This time, Su Fang came to the Southern Profound Divine Domain and brought all the Southern Profound cultivators from the Imperial Heaven Divine Palace with him. His goal was to let these Southern Profound cultivators clean up the mess after he wiped out the 12 races. Southern Profound Divine Domain. We actually managed to return to the Southern Profound Divine Domain in our lifetime. Ma Xiaoxiao and the other Southern Profound cultivators were surprised and shocked when they saw their surroundings. Then, they started to cry loudly. Even the 3 Tao saints lost their dignity as experts and cried. I'll leave the Southern Profound Divine Domain to you. Save all the humans as soon as possible, including the mortals and Big Goblin. Save as many as you can. Then, return to the Imperial Heaven Divine Palace as soon as possible. Su Fang nodded at Sima Xiaoxiao and the others. Many thanks to the people of Su Fangda. The humans of the Southern Profound Divine Domain will forever remember the great kindness of the people of Su Fangda. The 3 Tao saints and the Southern Profound cultivators cupped their fists and bowed to Su Fang. Their eyes were filled with gratitude. Sima Xiaoxiao looked at Su Fang with a complicated gaze. She and Su Fang were originally a little ambiguous, but Su Fang's heaven-defying rise caused the gap between the two of them to widen. There was no longer any possibility between the two of them. Sima Xiaoxiao and the other Southern Profound cultivators went to the various mystic worlds to deal with the remaining foreign race cultivators and rescue the humans and demons who were lucky enough to survive. Su Fang let Holy Sovereign Xie out of the Tao Palace and said, Holy Sovereign Xie, go help the Southern Profound cultivators and prevent any accidents from happening. Yes. Holy Sovereign Xie replied respectfully. Holy Sovereign Xie was no longer as casual in front of Su Fang as before. This was a huge change brought about by the difference in strength. Chapter 3262. In the Depths of the Primal Chaos. 1. in an ancient and vast spacetime. 1. A layer of corpses floated in the air while a mountain of corpses piled up on the ground. Fresh blood seeped into the ground, and the air was suffused with a dense smell of blood. Time. The main world was empty. Number. There were hundreds of millions of heads, and every single one of them still had the rage, despair, and terror from before their deaths on their faces. They were piled up to form a mountain that was over 10,000 meters tall. Over 10 million shackled cultivators knelt on the ground in front of the mountain of heads. They had a pair of colorful wings on their backs, and regardless of whether they were male or female, they were all extremely handsome and emanated a spiritual aura. Some shackled cultivators gritted their teeth as they looked at a floating platform above their head. Their eyes were bleeding, and their eyes were filled with boundless grief, anger, and despair. A young man sat majestically on a throne on the floating platform, and he looked down like a god looking down at a group of ants. The young man was extremely handsome, and there was an extremely striking golden trigram between his eyebrows. It was the unique symbol of the Qian Yuan clan. Moreover, the young man had a golden trigram, which meant that his status in the Qian Yuan clan was even more extraordinary. He was a member of the Qian Yuan clan's royal family. The young man's cultivation wasn't high, and it was only at the lower Daolord realm. Moreover, his aura was floating, and it was obvious that he had relied on the accumulation of resources. Behind the young man, 5 Daozu stood with their hands behind their back. Shockingly, they were all at the peak of the Daozu realm. Moreover, the auras of these Daozu realm experts were extremely formidable. They were at least at the peak of the 7th level of the Daozu realm, and they were absolutely not something that ordinary peak Daozu realm experts could compare to. There were over 1 million cultivators in the sky above the shackled cultivators, and all of them were from the Qian Yuan clan. They wore golden armor, emanated a murderous aura, and their eyes were filled with the arrogance and ferocity of higher race cultivators. The young man looked at the cultivators below and smiled casually. I only asked your butterfly race to offer 100,000 virgins to nurture my divine flower, but all of you made all sorts of excuses and dared to refuse me. You really won't cry until you see the coffin. Now that I've annihilated your butterfly race, do you regret it? Qianyu, you will die a horrible death. Your Qian Yuan clan will not be able to escape destruction in the end. Among the cultivators who were shackled, a Dao Saint old man shouted in rage. However, before he could finish speaking, a destructive strand of sword chi arrived with a flash and landed on his chest. Then, his body began to shatter layer by layer, and in the end, he was reduced to ashes. The surrounding butterfly clan cultivators panicked, and some of them cursed angrily. A bunch of lowly butterflies. The young man from the Qianyuan clan, Qianyu, heard the scolding and his eyes turned cold. Then, he waved his hand, and a Daozu of the Heaven Origin clan behind him grabbed at the butterfly clan cultivators below. Swish! Swish! More than 10,000 butterfly girls flew up from the ground and floated in the air. Qian Yu's eyes were filled with cruelty and madness. He waved his hand and a ball of Xian Guang appeared. When the profound light dissipated, it turned into a flower that was more than 300 meters tall. It had a slender body and a delicate stem. There were many beautiful flowers hanging from the flower branches. The beautiful flowers exuded a bewitching aura of Taoist rhyme. It was as if one could forget all their worries, pain, and fear with just a glance and fall into a beautiful and eternal cycle of reincarnation. Ecstasy reincarnation flower. The expressions of the butterfly clan cultivators changed instantly. The anger and hatred on their faces instantly turned into fear and despair. The girls who were shackled in the air all trembled, but they couldn't move. They could only wait in despair for the end to come. Swish! 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 More than 300 blood-red threads shot out from the beautiful flowers and pierced into the girls' foreheads. They drilled into their bodies and began to devour their virgin primordial een and life essence. Swish. About 10 breaths later. 3. More than 100 girls turned into shriveled corpses. They were like butterflies that only had their shells left. They fell to the ground and shattered into pieces, their broken wings fluttering in the air. Swish. After the 300 flowers on the divine flower devoured these girls, they became even more beautiful and alluring. The primordial een and life essence of the butterfly clan virgins are indeed very useful to the ecstasy reincarnation flower. Qian Yu's eyes shone brightly. Continue to devour them. Qian Yu continued to urge the divine flower to shoot out blood-red threads at the remaining women of the butterfly tribe. Swish. Suddenly, a cold voice came from the void. I didn't expect the Qian Yuan clan to be so cruel. They are 10 times crueler than those peerless ferocious beasts. I've learned something new this time. A figure quickly turned from blurry to real and finally turned into a 17-year-old boy. It was none other than Su Fong. Realm Spirit didn't send Su Fong directly to the Qian Yuan clan with the help of the Luai's original realm. Instead, he sent him to the outskirts of the Qian Yuan clan. Qian Yuan clan. The Yuan clan was one of the overlords of the Chaos 10,000 clans. They were divided into the main branch and 12 branches. They occupied hundreds of dimensions and controlled hundreds of clans. No matter how powerful Su Fong was, he couldn't destroy the Qian Yuan clan completely. Even an immortal realm expert couldn't do that. His goal was to dye the supreme battle flag red with the blood of the Qian Yuan clan members. Because Su Fong decided to attack one of the branches of the Qian Yuan clan after some calculations. The branch he chose was the branch where the immortal realm expert from the Qian Yuan clan was. The immortal realm expert tried to kill Su Fong and planted a seal on Su Fong's Dao heart. Su Fong used his clansmen to dye the supreme battle flag red with their blood. This was Su Fong. If someone punched him once, he would definitely return 2 punches in return. He would take revenge for revenge, and take revenge for revenge. What a coincidence! Realm Spirit sent Fong to the Butterfly Clan's spacetime and happened to see the Qian Yuan clan's army exterminating the Butterfly Clan. So, he came here directly. Seeing the tragic situation in the Butterfly Clan's world and the fate of the surviving Butterfly Clan cultivators, Su Fong thought of the human clan. If the human clan was defeated by the 12 clans, their fate would be no better than the Butterfly Clans. In the Chaos 10,000 clans, countless clans rose and countless clans were destroyed. The weak were prey to the strong. Clans without power all had the same fate. As soon as he appeared, he flicked his finger. A sharp sword chi shot out and cut the 300 blood-red threads. The beautiful flowers let out sharp screams like humans, and the blood-red threads shot toward Su Fong. Such evil and vicious divine flowers will be a disaster if they remain in the world. Let's just destroy them. Su Fong's eyes flashed fiercely. Su Fong, the soul reincarnation flower, was a strange divine flower born in the Chaos realm. It was vicious and cruel. It needed to be fed with the essence of virgins from clans with special spiritual qi. The fruit of this divine flower had no other use. It was not helpful to the cultivation of cultivators. On the contrary, it was very harmful. Refining elixirs with the fruit of the soul reincarnation flower would make the cultivator fall into a realistic illusion. They could get whatever they wanted as if they were immortal. Therefore, this elixir was called the Immortal Hallucination Elixir. Su Fong, only those powerful disciples who lived in a drunken stupor would consume this elixir to seek stimulation. Su Fong, in order to refine the Immortal Hallucination Elixir, the young man from the Qian Yuan clan had destroyed an entire Chaos realm race. Su Fong could not leave the soul reincarnation flower alive. Su Fong raised his hand and shot a blood-red vine toward the soul reincarnation flower. Heaven-piercing blood king vine? How dare you interfere in the affairs of the Qian Yuan clan? You're asking for death. An elder flashed out from behind Qianyu. His thought turned into a golden trigram that exploded with the heavenly Tao and divine power, pressing down on Su Fang. Su Fang's eyes flashed. A sword qi formed from the will of slaughter, thought, and power of the heavenly Tao collided with the golden hexagram and shattered it. Both of them controlled their strength and willpower to an extremely delicate level. Although it was a confrontation between masters at the peak of the Tao ancestor level, which was enough to destroy a part of space and time, they controlled it within a very small range, and did not affect others. Qi! Tai! The heaven-piercing Blood King Vine was like a bolt of lightning. It wrapped around the soul reincarnation flower and devoured it. The soul reincarnation flower screamed like a woman. In less than 3 breaths, it wilted, withered, and turned into ashes. This the divine plant flower was indeed vicious and evil enough, but it was only good for looks but useless. How could it compare to the heaven-piercing Blood King Vine? You ant, you actually dared to destroy my ecstasy reincarnation flower. Kill him. I want to pull out his tendons and skin him alive. Qianyu let out a thunderous roar. The Qianyuan clan elder, who had reached the peak of the Daozu clan, saw that Su Fang was extraordinary. He did not attack directly. Instead, he asked, "Which race are you from? Do you know who you're facing?" Su Fang said coldly, "I'm from the human clan. As for who I'm facing, I don't need to know. I'll just kill him." The elder raised his white eyebrows and said coldly, "Human clan? I remember that the human clan is not a powerful race. Do you know the consequences of offending the Qianyuan clan? Kill me? I'm the young master of one of the 12 branches of the Qianyuan clan. I'm the descendant of an immortal realm expert with royal blood. How dare an ant like you threaten me? Capture him. I want him alive." Qianyu sneered. Whoosh! The elder released a 100-year thought, which turned into a huge hand with a hexagram pattern. He grabbed at Su Fang. Elder. The elder of the Qianyuan clan was at the peak of the 8th level of the Daozu clan. He was a peerless expert in any race. Unfortunately, he was facing Su Fang. Below the immortal realm, who could compete with Su Fang? Boom! Chapter 3263. The elder from the blood-gored race sensed Su Fang's murderous intent and his eyes changed instantly. Then, Su Fang's eyes turned into a pair of blood-red eyes. The blood-red light shot out and turned into the shadow of a blood-red coffin. It contained the heavenly Tao that could bury all life and enveloped the elder. The heavenly Tao that could seal life quickly seeped into the elder's body and shackled his life. 1. A top expert from the Daozu race was easily shackled by Su Fang. So you are a powerful expert. No wonder you dare to be so arrogant in front of me. Haha, I don't lack experts. Qianyu smiled embarrassedly and waved his hand behind him. Left. 4 top experts from the Daozu race of the Qianyuan race flashed out from behind Qianyu. Su Fang flipped his right hand and the supreme battle flag appeared in his palm. It quickly floated in the air and emitted a strong murderous intent, turning the entire spacetime into a slaughterhouse. Profound treasure? Qianyu was startled and then sneered. You want to scare me with a broken flag? Broken? Flag? The young master of the Qianyuan race's side branch was also an idiot. How could he call the supreme battle flag a lousy flag? That's the supreme battle flag of the Reizegu people. A Qianyuan clan expert recognized the supreme battle flag at a glance and let out a cry of surprise. The Reizegu people used to dominate all races in the chaos space. Wherever the supreme battle flag went, all races would submit to it. It was not surprising that an expert from the Qianyuan race could recognize the supreme battle flag. The supreme battle flag of the Reizegu people? Could that alien cultivator be an expert from the Luai's ancient clan? Many Qianyuan clan cultivators were shocked. They looked at Su Fang with fear in their eyes. Reizegu people? I have heard of them before. They are a race that disappeared in the river of history. What are you afraid of? Qianyu sneered. The Reizeigu people have indeed disappeared in the annals of history. I came here today to use the blood of your Qian Yuan clan to announce the return of the Reizeigu people to the primal chaos. A domineering and evil smile appeared on his face as he shouted coldly at the Heaven Origin clan experts. Even if the Reizeigu people were at their peak, they would not dare to be so arrogant in front of the Qianyuan clan, let alone a remnant of the Reizeigu people. Kill him! The 4 peak stage Daozu cultivators attacked Su Fang at the same time. A green Xian Guang suddenly flashed from between Su Fang's eyebrows, and the longevity lamp floated in front of him. A voice filled with the will of death blurted out, "All of you die." The longevity lamp. That's the Grand Mist Heavenly Treasure longevity lamp of Shin Wuzi. How could the Reizeigu people possess the supreme treasure of the divine sycamore race? The Heaven Origin clan experts were shocked and stunned. However, when they sensed the aura of the longevity lamp, they were all shocked and fearful. Ting! Ting! The longevity lamp suddenly emitted a soul flame. Fire! Everywhere the light touched, more than 1,000,000 Heaven Origin clan cultivators, including the 5 peak stage Daozu cultivators, felt their souls tremble violently in their bodies. They were struggling uncontrollably to break free from their bodies. Su Fang's cultivation had improved tremendously, and he had entrusted the zombie to the longevity lamp. Not only could he activate the longevity lamp's power, but he could also control the longevity lamp to an extremely precise level. When he activated the longevity lamp this time, Su Fang deliberately avoided Qian Yu and the butterfly race cultivators. Although Su Fang's consciousness was controlled by the evil zombie, and his mind was filled with thoughts of killing, he still maintained a clear mind. Naturally, he would not harm the innocent butterfly race. As for Qian Yu, Su Fang planned to keep him for another purpose. Huff, huff. No matter how the Heaven Origin clan cultivators resisted, they could not escape the longevity lamp's power. Their souls left their bodies and flew toward the longevity lamp like moths to a flame. Puff, puff, puff. The flame kept trembling and jumping, and the souls disappeared in the flame, turning into pure soul energy. The Heaven Origin clan cultivators who had lost their souls turned into living corpses. What was strange and creepy was that the corpses still had obedient and satisfied smiles on their faces. About half an hour later. Apart from Qian Yu, more than 1,000,000 Heaven Origin clan cultivators were killed by the longevity lamp. None of them survived. Qian Yu was so scared that his face turned pale. His body trembled, and yellow liquid flowed between his legs. He was so scared that he peed himself. Kong! The tens of thousands of butterfly race cultivators floating in the air and the butterfly race cultivators on the ground were all surprised, shocked, and terrified. They looked at Su Fang with fear in their eyes, as if Su Fang was the incarnation of a demon. Su Fang activated the Paragon battle flag and began to crazily devour the blood chi in the Heaven Origin clan cultivators' corpses. Sizzle! 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 Streaks of blood-red runes appeared on the battle flag, causing it to turn even redder. The thunderlock on the flag also started to turn red. Su Fang estimated that the entire Paragon battle flag had been dyed red by at least 8 layers. The Heaven Origin clan was indeed an upper race in the chaos space. After killing more than 1,000,000 Heaven Origin clan cultivators, 2 layers of the Paragon battle flag had been dyed red. The killing and battle aura of the Supreme Battle Flag became even more intense and majestic. The Butterfly Clan cultivators with lower cultivation bases felt their willpower crumble just by looking at the flag. After killing so many Heaven Origin Clan cultivators, Fang didn't feel uncomfortable at all. Instead, he felt happy and wanted to continue killing. Su Fang also felt the evil intent controlling his consciousness, so he didn't try to suppress it. Killing could make the evil corpse even stronger. When the evil corpse was strong to the extreme, it could also be cut down. Killing the 3 evil corpses meant that Su Fang could start to break through to the immortal realm. When he activated the longevity lamp this time, Su Fang's soul was burned again. The intense pain attacked his willpower and Tao heart. His face was twisted, and his eyes were filled with pain and madness. He looked ferocious. After taking back the battle flag, Su Fang felt a little disappointed. I killed so many Heaven Origin clan cultivators, but it's still not enough. Su Fang looked at Qianyu with a cold and evil smile. Young master of the Heaven Origin clan, how would you feel when you see your clansmen being slaughtered like pigs? Qianyu trembled. You crazy bastard. If you dare to kill me, the Heaven Origin clan will definitely— Fang interrupted Qianyu and said indifferently, they'll probably skin you alive and refine your soul forever. The problem is, can you kill me? Just you wait. I'll summon the strong ones of my clan to suppress you. Qianyu clenched his teeth and took out a rune talisman. I met a strong enemy in the butterfly race. My entire army was wiped out. Come and help me quickly. Ask Qian Tu to bring people here personally. Be quick. If I'm slow, I won't be able to keep my life. If I die, all of you will die. When Qianyu was almost done, Su Fang flicked out a sword energy and shattered the rune talisman. Then, he used a divine power to shackle Qianyu. Qianyu became arrogant again. Just you wait. You're in big trouble. Qian Tu is the strongest under the immortal realm in the Lihua branch. He'll be here soon. You'll be skinned alive by me. Many butterfly clan cultivators looked at Qianyu. They felt sorry for him, but they also felt that he was ridiculous. Su Fangfang smiled embarrassedly. Do you know why I didn't kill you? Instead, I asked you to deliver the message? Qianyu sneered. Do you really dare to kill me? So this young master of the branch is an idiot. Su Fang smiled helplessly. He sucked Qianyu from his palm into his Tao palace and shackled him. This idiot still had some uses. He might come in handy later. Therefore, he couldn't kill him for now. Then, Su Fang put away all the bodies of the Qian Yuan clan cultivators. These were all rare cultivation resources. Even if he didn't need them, the strong ones under him could use them. Of course, he couldn't waste them. He looked at the butterfly clan cultivators who were shackled. Su Fang was in a dilemma as to what to do with these butterfly clan cultivators. If he let them go, they would all be killed by the Qian Yuan clan sooner or later. Rescuing all of them was a piece of cake for Su Fang. However, he wasn't related to the butterfly clan. Naturally, he wouldn't be a good person. Many butterfly clan cultivators fell into despair when they saw Su Fang's hesitant look. Forget it. Since the butterfly clan and the human clan are in the same boat, I'll be a good person for once. Su Fang sighed and made his decision. Apart from the fact that the butterfly clan and the human clan shared the same fate, Su Fang also made this decision because of one person. To be precise, it was a Ling clan cultivator. It was Dai Yi from the Great World. Clang. Dai Yi had helped him a lot in the great world of the Pan Song universe. Now, she was in the Imperial Divine Palace with Outyin Chanhen, living a loving life. The butterfly clan cultivators in front of him had an aura very similar to Dai Yi. Therefore, Su Fang decided to give them a chance. This was the power of an expert. He could decide the life and death of an entire clan with just a thought. He looked at the youth with the highest cultivation among the butterfly clan cultivators. This person had the strength of Daozu. Moreover, he had the air of a leader. He should be the strongest expert of the butterfly clan. Su Fangfang Molan said, I'll give you two choices. The first is to let you go and let you fend for yourselves. The second is to submit to me and I'll bring you to the Luai's original realm. There, you won't have to worry about being exterminated by the Qianyuan clan. All the butterfly clan cultivators were stunned. Just now Su Fang had killed those Qianyuan clan cultivators as if they were chickens. They believed that Su Fang was a vicious person and that they would not be able to escape this time. They did not expect Su Fang to give them such a choice. The butterfly clan is willing to submit to you, sir. The strongest expert of the butterfly clan made his choice without hesitation. Therefore, it was not difficult to make such a choice. Namely, they wanted Su Fang to release all of them. The Qianyuan clan had lost so many people this time. How could they let the butterfly clan off so easily? Given the Qianyuan clan's power, the butterfly clan could only be exterminated. Moreover, the scene of Su Fang slaughtering the Qianyuan clan cultivators had shocked the butterfly clan cultivators. Su Fang was giving them a choice. If they did not submit to him, he might turn hostile on the spot. Wouldn't killing these butterfly clan cultivators be as easy as killing a bunch of ants?